Tickets are on sale now at bostonwrestling.com for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s WrestleFest, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Mass. Wrestling fans, it's time to rock. WWE legend Marty Jannetty of the Rockers returns for 3 big nights, Wednesday, September the 1st through Friday, September the 3rd. Marty will be taping historical Wrestling Insider episodes, live specials, Insider autograph signings, support wrestling superstars, pre-order autographed 8x10s now over at bostonwrestling.com. This September, get your sunglasses ready. It's time to party with Marty.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to a special installment of Wrestling Insiders. It is a little bit different than our usual Tuesday night tradition, going back now, my gosh, several years with Wrestling Insiders at your house. As we like to say, it's a new fall season. It is a new decade coming here in the world of Boston Wrestling MWF. We've wasted enough time on trash, so out with the old, in with the new. Next week on this very program, after NXT, is the premiere of our new series, Wrestling Insiders Extreme, when we go back in time to look at the superstars, the places, the people, the personalities, the events that made up Extreme Championship Wrestling, and we kick off that series with New Jack. We also had Justin Credible in for a great series of tapings this weekend. If you were a fan of ECW, or maybe not know much about ECW, if you're a newer fan to our sport, I think you're going to love it. Tonight, where we kind of had a gap in between, and we certainly did not want to rehash the nonsense, the garbage, and the lies that have been spewing from Maine and New York the past couple of months. We wanted to do something a little bit more positive, a little upbeat. I'm going to thank our good friend Matt Duggan, otherwise known as Socko from Connecticut, for the idea. Another great friend of the show, Brian Knobs of the Nasty Boys. He has hit hard times. There is a GoFundMe for Brian right now to try and help with some of his medical expenses, as he's down in Florida right now, still in the hospital. He's a great friend of our paisan, Pat Catino of Tewksbury Sports Club. If you're in the Tewksbury area, my gosh, if you're looking to get fit, get into great shape, even though summer season is almost over, you can never look too good, right? Depending upon who you're with, when you're with them, so on and so forth, wink, wink. TewksburySportsClub.com, great place. We did an appearance there, helping out with Hulk Hogan a few years back. Just a great, genuine human being. Catino and Knobs have been friends for quite some time. If I remember right, they got thrown out of a Red Sox-Tampa Bay Rays playoff game at one point because Knobs was a little too much, a little too loud. Baseball fans know that Knobs was one of the regulars down at Tropicana Field down in Tampa. With that said, we want to send out some positive vibes to our friends down in the hospital. We want to see if we can lift the spirits a little bit, maybe surprise them, send this out on Facebook. We do want to remind you folks, this past weekend we announced the 6th featured superstars at our Back to the 80s WrestleFest endeavor as we celebrate 2 decades of Boston Wrestling MWF. Saturday night, November the 13th, from the historic Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts, joining Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Jake the Snake Roberts, Axe and Smash Demolition, and Marty Jannetty will be the Doctor of Styles Slick. We're adding a manager to the ranks to try and guide things a little bit. So we're really loading up on this show. Last week, John Cena Sr. made a VIP package challenge that if the VIPs sell out, within a reasonable period of time, we're really going to go above and beyond once we get to the 8th guest. But let's sell out the tickets first, and then we'll talk more about that. All-inclusive VIP packages and tickets of all kinds are available now at bostonwrestling.com. We hope to see everybody in Melrose on November the 13th. Right now, though, folks, forget about going back to the 80s. A Nasty Boys, Brian Knobs, takes us back in time to remember the late, great Pat Patterson, Road Warrior Animal, who was originally booked on our Back to the 80s event, paying dues in professional wrestling, and much more. Forget about my voice. Here is Brian Knobs. All right, wrestling fans, welcome to another Wrestling Insiders. Dan Marty, happy to be joined by the man of the hour right now, Brian Knobs. Brian, it took us a while, but you finally made it to Boston and made it to the studio.
Yes, I mean, especially in 2020. I've been around a long time and never saw a year like this in my entire life.
This has probably been the most limited travel you've had since you came out of the womb.
Well, I good friends with Willie Nelson for a long time, through Dusty Rhodes in '88, and when I talked to Willie, he said, you know, and he's 87, never seen nothing like this in his entire life, you know. Especially in a genre where travel is... And he's seen about everything, you know. When you're up there and you've been through all kind of different stuff, but this one's... Just got to listen to what's going on. That's all I can say.
We keep trucking along. That's all we can do. That's all we can do.
And next year, pray that we'll be doing your show, you know.
We'll be doing not only in studio, but we'll be having live wrestling events too.
Exactly.
And we'll be headed down to Tampa for WrestleMania.
Oh, yes.
Having the big...
Now, is that a... Because they were still saying L.A. Now, are they definitely going to switch it back to Tampa?
I don't think it's a definite yet, but from people that I've spoken with in Connecticut, it's very likely.
Yeah, because L.A.'s
they are very
locked down and
very restricted right now.
No people at the football games or nothing, you know.
If nothing else, Florida has been a little bit more laid back.
And everybody's right down there, developmental in Orlando, so, you know.
Florida is almost...
A lot of the boys live down there, too, you know, so...
Florida is almost the new second home to WWE.
Well, put it this way, a lot of guys live down there anyway because of Hulkster. Hulkster had everybody to move down because when you were on the road 300 days a year, you wanted somewhere warm in that. You didn't want it raining or, you know, like it is today in Boston. Nothing against Boston, but I came from Tampa, Florida, where my wife thought it was cold, but it was only 68, and it was raining and it was freezing. And I'm glad I brought a coat this time.
I'd take 68 right about now. I don't know about you.
Oh, yes, it was very, very, very nice.
All right, wrestling fans, a lot of you chimed in via Twitter, via email. You wanted to know Brian's thoughts on the passing of the late, great Pat Patterson recently, a man you worked with extensively in WWF.
Yeah, that's a hard one. He was a genius in our business. Nobody knows it. And then, you know, if people could see his work back in the day when he tagged with Ray Stevens, they were unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. You're talking 50s and 60s. And Ray Stevens and Wahoo at the time helped bring me and Sag up. And we started with Vern Gagne in AWA up in Minnesota. And Ray was up there working at the time and was booker with Wahoo, but Ray was there first and would come down to the camp and show us. But he was a fantastic worker. Pat was just you know, he actually was a genius. I mean, he came up with the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so people don't know the behind the scenes, but yeah, that was a hard one. And then, of course, only a month or two ago, or 3 months, we lost our good friend Animal.
He was supposed to be in that very seat on November 14th.
Yeah, he was a good friend. We had a lot of good times with him and Hawk. They were good guys. See, we grew up with all of them guys. And Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, was our mentor because we grew up with Vern Gagne, and Brad Reagans trained us for Vern School, and he was an Olympic champion. So we were on Olympic mats for 3 months, and I was like, I didn't sign up for this. I'm getting stretched every day. And then when you couldn't even lift your arm because Brad, almost like a Stu Hart camp, you know, or, you know, Eddie Graham down in Florida had one like that. They had Mansuda, you know, he broke Hulkster's leg back in the day and all that stuff. But, yeah, man, it was, you know, no joke. We started with 22 people, and me and Sag were the only ones to survive the camp. But we lived on the bottom of Brad, so there was no calling it a day off or nothing because he knew we were down there. And then our car broke, so we couldn't get the hell out of there even if we wanted to. But we loved it. I mean, once we got, you know, we had everybody staying. I mean, Shawn Michaels used to, you know, be our roommate, not only there, but in Tennessee. And then Marty would come in every now and again, would sleep on the floor. So, but, you know, just the guys we met just from that era, you know, and, you know, Pat wasn't there at the time, but Ray was. But just, you're talking about Buddy Rose, Colonel De Beers, I mean, all the, Nick Bockwinkel, all these guys that knew how to work and knew their psychology, and, you know. And then right after we went 6 months through the wrestling camp, you think we got right in the ring? Hell no, you had to drive the ring first. Then you refereed. There was like a whole thing till you finally got in the ring, you know. And for some reason, they used me and Sag. We grew up together, and usually they put a veteran and a young guy together, but they didn't for us, and, you know, it worked, and here we are today, you know, so.
Still going strong in 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
And hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, let's hope, you know, they get a handle on this crazy 2020, and in 2021 we can get back to some kind of normalcy and have the fans out there again, and because there ain't nothing like that. And I got to take my hat off to the guys today, because it's actually, you know, hard to wrestle with no fans there. You know, because you feed off that. That makes you have, you know, better matches, and, you know, because you like to, if you're the bad guy and they're booing you, you're doing the right job. If you're the good guy and they're cheering you on, you know, you're doing your good job. But now you know, it's kind of taken away. So, you know, I got that, you know, take my hat off to him right away. But back to Pat, he was marvelous. The last time I seen him, believe it or not, was at Rocky Johnson's funeral.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the last time I seen him. We talked, and he would always go, "Hey," you know, talking to Montreal, you know, French Canadian. You know, he would always joke with me and Sag. But yeah, me and Sag loved him. He was a good guy, man. He definitely was. And then
he cut kind of an unusual promo at that wake, didn't he?
It was pretty crazy. That's all I can say about that. It was definitely a wrestler's funeral.
I remember his wife, Sheila, called Tony Atlas that night and explained to him a lot of the craziness that went on at that wake. I guess it was kind of an interesting experience, maybe.
Yeah, it definitely was. And then, you know, just like, you know, like football and baseball, wrestling has its own fraternity of brothers.
Exactly.
And nobody ever heard anything, because that's the way it is, you know. The people that were there, it wasn't for everybody. It was for certain, you know, just like wrestlers, and, you know, and Rocky married to Ada, and, you know, so, you know, the Wild Samoans were there. I mean, you had a lot of, you know, people, you know, everybody was, you know, showed up. I mean, it was real good. I mean, it was a
nice show of respect.
Yeah, and then The Rock, I mean, you know, gave one heck of a, you know, thing, you know, a speech for his dad, and, you know, it was really heartfelt, you know. And the one thing that gets to him is he couldn't say bye to his dad, you know. So, you know, because it happened so sudden. And he's the one that I was talking to you earlier that told me about my knee replacement when I had that, you know, a year ago.
The Rock or Rocky?
Rocky.
Oh, Rocky Johnson.
Yeah,
right,
Rocky was there, and me and Sag were at a Comic-Con in Orlando, and he looked at me, he goes, "Knobs," and he knew us. We know Rocky all the way back from '87. We were all in Tennessee together. That's when we babysit.
Yep.
Yeah, that's when we babysit The Rock. Him and Ada would go on, like, you know, like once a month, go for like a dinner, and we'd watch it. But it wasn't really babysitting because he was 14, 15. But
yeah,
we feed him some beers, and, you know, then Rocky would come down. "You feed my kid beers?" And, "Oh no, Rocky." Yeah, so, but yeah, he was always real close to us, and we always had good times every time we saw him. And he said that, "Knobs, that's infected." And Sag was on me, "That's infected." So when I got home, I went right to, and they said, emergency room, before you know it, getting this operated on, getting a new knee replacement, and what a, you know, 6 weeks, you know, 2 weeks in the hospital, 4 weeks in rehab, and still kind of so-so. It's not quite all there yet. And then I needed one on my right side, but, you know, I would never bitch.
What do you need on the right side?
Another knee replacement.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, and then shoulder replacement. I could just go down a big list. But right now I'm not doing anything, you know, staying away from the hospital scene and all that, and I'm kind of...
You're here in the studio relaxing.
Yeah, exactly.
Telling
nice chair, comfortable.
Telling some stories.
Yeah, Yeah.
Cold beverage, what
Got
more
me
could you
cold
ask
beverage
for?
over here. Yeah, I can't complain. You know.
Making new friends. That's what it's all
Yeah,
about.
and like I told you, my good friend Pat Patterson gave me a double thumbs up. I talked to him before I came here, and for those who don't know who he is, he owned the World's Gym here in Boston for years, and Hulkster met him first, and he was Hulk's good friend, and then Hulk brought all the boys there. Every time we would come around the area, we'd work out over there, and Pat would treat us first class, and he said, "You're a first class dude, thumbs up." And
Well,
once
you know what? Back
told,
at him.
well, because he's such a good friend of mine, all he had to say was that, because this is the first time I ever met you.
Right.
And I said, well, any guy that says that, you're instantly good friends with me.
There you
I
go.
didn't even have to meet you, but now that I met you,
That's kind of the way the fraternity and even the extended fraternity works. Pat's a great human being.
like that it's just me and you, because if Sags was here, I wouldn't be able to get a word in edgewise.
And he said the same thing about you.
That's what happens when you know each other since you're 10 years old.
Do you want to know how that actually concept almost came to be? Marty Jannetty, of all people,
Yeah.
being the wise sage that he is, said it's almost like when you have a group of people and it's at nighttime and you're sitting around the water and you're looking at the moon's reflection off the water, and someone says to you, point to the moon, and you point to it right there, and it's where you see it. If I say to you, point to the moon, you might point there, and that's where you see
Yeah.
it. So even though you may have lived things and experienced the same things, you may see it in different ways and different points of view.
I know some, Hall of Fame football players, baseball players, hockey players, and they all have their fraternity of brothers, and that's the way wrestling is. It's that close of a knit family, and, we all respect each other, and, sometimes you get guys that don't, but, then you don't bother with it.
Right.
It is what it is, but usually everybody gets along, and, I'm still talking to everybody from Ric Flair to Bret Hart to Hulkster to, everybody that's still around. I puts a tear to my eye, but I did a video. Animal's wife, Kim, told me to do an interview for her 60th. So I gave him, and Scott Norton did one too, and did one kind of like me. I was going, "Oh, what a rush, you're 60 now," giving him crap that he was 60. And then 3 days later, he passed, just like.
I was really looking forward to having him with us here in this studio.
And Hawk, he was crazy.
Well,
if you asked Hawk what he was doing, he'd say, "Anything I want." And he said, "All right, Hawk." He was a good man too. But all from Minneapolis, all them guys were from Minnie.
I don't know what was in the water up in Minnesota.
No, there's and Wayne Bloom's still from the Beverly Brothers.
Yeah.
He's still around, but a lot of them have passed on already.
Yeah.
But Barry Darsow, he just moved out of Minnesota.
Man,
he's living with his not living, but he's building a house where his son is.
Barry moved out of Minnesota?
He moved over and bought a house on the lake with his son Dakota, who's a deputy in Michigan. And I'm not sure if it's up by kind of like Kellogg or something like that.
Barry lives in Michigan now?
Yeah.
I just spoke to him within the past few weeks. He didn't mention that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He sold his business, and I'm not sure if he moved all the way yet, but he said he was getting a place. And,
oh, good for him.
I
didn't know that.
Dakota, he came and trained at my school when I used to have the Nashville School of Wrestling for a while, and I was happy with that. I got a couple guys in TNA, and the one guy, and then he screwed up, but he won the Tough Enough contest. I forget, he was a tall guy. He was actually, he was related to Dan Spivey. But,
really?
He played for Florida Atlantic football. And I taught him, and then from there, Dan got him in there to do the Tough Enough, and he was the one that won it, remember? And then Stone Cold stunned him, and then something happened. I guess the drug
I know
test or
exactly
something.
who you mean, but I can't think of his name.
Yeah,
I can picture him.
And he was in my school for like 6 months. And I can't remember his name.
The
but he's
enough,
a nice guy.
The runner-up used to wrestle for us, Luke Robinson. He was trained by Tony Atlas up in Maine.
Yeah.
So isn't that funny? I didn't
Tony's
know
a
you
good
had
guy.
a connection.
How about him? He still looks great.
Tony's with us every Tuesday night at 10 o'clock. Tuesdays with
He still
Tony.
looks fantastic.
I tell you.
said, he's a good guy too. He's another good friend of ours. You know?
But you know what? It's a great thing. Again, we talk about having a platform like this studio for the guys. Tony, I don't know if you're familiar with what happened with his wife, but in June of 19, she had a stroke. She's been hospitalized ever since. They lost her income. They take all of her Social Security check except $40 every month. Then the coronavirus hits. Tony can't wrestle. He's had very few appearances outside of this TV studio.
Well,
the one thing that's kept him going is actually his artwork that he does. We've been able to get him some bookings from the great fans that watch these shows. So, you know, like I said previously, WWE, they can present history however they want to. They bought it, it's their right. But there's a lot of other guys out there with great experiences, great memories, great legends, great stories, and this is a great place to share them so we can keep them remembered forever.
I'm working right now. We're pitching a show, and I don't want to say too much about it, but it's kind of like you know what you're talking about now.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Good.
So yeah,
we'll talk about that at Kowloon later.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
good friend Andy Wan.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of interested to know now. You piqued my curiosity.
Yeah, well, I got sick of watching the Dark Side of the Ring. I was on the Jimmy Snuka one, the After Dark, and okay, it's an intriguing show, but all it does is kind of cut down the wrestlers, like this happened to Dino Bravo, this guy did this, or this guy did, Jimmy. 32 years later, they got him for murder, and I don't know what happened there, but they bring up like all the bad stuff, and they never. And I was going, well, wait a minute, there's a lot of guys out there, that love this business, and the fans love this business, and all you're ever telling is, it's always a bad story, no matter what, it's a bad story, like the tragedy that happened to Owen and all that stuff. It's like,
God,
well, it just.
You want, instead of the dark side of the ring, you want the light side of the ring.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of fun and a lot of fun in it.
Exactly.
And to be fair, there is a lot of doom and gloom in our crazy industry.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of fun that the people at home could not possibly imagine.
No.
Unless they've been in it and lived it.
Drive around with the Iron Sheik for about 4 months.
Well,
back in the day.
I just remember the one car ride, and that was more than enough.
He would, because he was from, he came from Iran, but he worked for Vern. But then he was used to that cold weather. He'd make us put down the windows. Me and Sag were young back then, and we were freezing. We were driving up to North Dakota somewhere, and he's slapping his chest and being the Sheik, He said, Sheik, can we please close the window, And then when we roomed with him, he'd have the door open, to get that cold air in. And I'm like, it's freezing in here. Me and Sag were shivering, and he was doing squats.
He loves to do those squats. The life and time of Hossein Khosrow Vaziri. I think when the time comes, Brian, we could probably do an entire episode just on that man.
I call him all the time, and he thanks me. He calls me and Sag, Knobs Bubba and Sag's Bubba, but he really thanks me because he goes, no one really gets in contact with him no more or nothing like that, and I always cheer him up,
It's so hard for him to get around now. Where he says, you hate to say it, but ever since he became sober, all of the pain in that body caught up with him so much. And it's been tough.
But people don't realize
kills me.
He did the real deal, like Brad did. I mean, Brad Ring he's getting another shoulder replacement, like his third one. He's got knees. Both of his, I call him a bionic man, but Khosrow, the Sheik's the same way. I think he won a gold medal for Iran back in '68 or something, and instead of Greco-Roman, that's yes, big time tough, and that's the real deal there.
Yep.
So even before pro wrestling, that takes a wear and tear on your body. I mean, even Kurt Angle,
Yeah.
got a lot of the injuries from, he won the
with
gold.
a broken neck.
Yeah.
When he won it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he still went on to, wrestle after. That's one tough SOB. And he's a great guy. You know what I mean? What a good guy, So I started a company, and I was doing the 10th man for the Rays. They asked if I'd do the 10th man, so because they weren't getting people when they played Boston or the Yankees, more Boston fans than Yankee fans showed up at Tropicana, so they wanted to change that when the new regime came in. Sternberg, and they asked me and be like the guy and do videos. So I did videos, and I went to almost every game, and I did that for like 4 years. And then in I think it was '07, they asked me to do a Legends of Wrestling night, and I got the guys together and we signed autographs. Then we did 3 matches afterwards by home plate, and we had Steiner, we had Brett the one time, we had. And then all of a sudden, I was getting calls from Florida Marlins wanted it, Pittsburgh Pirates, this and that. And then I made a company, and we've been doing pretty good. We sold out Detroit 2 years in a row, a hockey arena, 5,000. Then we did Citi Field, where Mets play. Yeah. That drew almost 12,000 people. And it was an independent.
You're still very active in the world of professional wrestling. Beyond.
It was something like. For some reason, that 80s, 90s era, because I guess the characters, I don't know, but the fans still love the Hacksaws and the, Ted DiBiase's and Jake the Snakes and the.
There's more of an interest in that, I hate to say it, as there is right now with the current product. I believe there's more wrestling fans out there that don't watch current wrestling than there are that do. The declines across the board before coronavirus. Look at WWE. Their television ratings hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
Merchandising was down. WWE Network subscriptions were down. Merchandising was down. And I'm a proud WWE stockholder. I want them to invest the money wisely beyond someone that enjoys, just watching wrestling.
Well, they definitely, everybody says, what's your favorite match? And us against, we have so many, it's hard to mention just one, but the one that stands out is definitely one against the Hart Foundation, WrestleMania 7, because that's what labeled us and stamped us at the time. And even my pop, would say, I was in AWA, then we're here and there, but he never got to see that. We were from Pennsylvania, so he would just get to see the WWF. That's all he kept on saying. You're not in the WWF yet, kid. You're not in the WWF. Then we finally got there, and it's kind of.
He was very proud.
Yeah, but not when I got home. He would always say, "What are you doing home? Get a job." The good old blue collar old man. He kept me in line all the time, and my uncle too. My uncle Reuben, another crazy guy from the. There was something in the water where me and Sag grew up too, because there's a lot of crazy guys, but not everybody got into wrestling. But our friends that we still, talk all the time and stuff like that. And you're talking, we all graduated together in '81. So, man. I'm getting old.
You know what's funny? I didn't know that I knew you and Jerry had quite a history, but I didn't know you went all the way back to Little League.
And in Little League, he had only half a tooth with a tooth missing now from the thing. And I said, what happened to you? And he said, my brother shot it out with a BB gun. I went, I think we're going to be friends. That was when we were 10. He was first baseman. They couldn't stretch, and the guys would throw the ball and would hit the ground and hit him in the face, and I was in left field, and I would have to, even if it's right in front of me, I would have to try to make a spectacular play. Sometimes I would drop it, and then the coach would be going, "What are you doing? It was right there. Why do you have to try to dive for it?" I was always trying to do something, but we've been friends for a long time, and what's crazy is our great-great-grandfathers used to ride motorcycles together back in the 30s.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow.
And when he came to my house, my grandmother said, "Saggy, are you a Saganovich?" And he goes, "Yes." "Was your great-grandfather, and he said, "Yes, he was." He goes, "Well, he hung around with my husband." And my dad, my great-grandfather, died when he was young. He was only 30.
Wow.
A motorcycle accident, no helmet at the time, Indian motorcycle. They were crazy back then, but Sag has some stories on that, but that's how close, knit the families are and
that's
all
great.
that stuff.
And still friends to this day, huh?
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah.
All right, before we go in this little tidbit of remembrance, any final thoughts on the great Pat Patterson? A man, did you ever hear him sing My Way?
Oh, yeah.
He loved My Way.
He loved karaoke. Oh, you get karaoke, and then almost like Masa Saito, he used to like singing "I Left My Heart in San Francisco." You know, and
he was a karaoke guy
but
too?
he didn't sing too good, but he was, but he loved that song. But just like,
Well, he almost left his heart at that McDonald's with Ken Patera, but
yeah.
that's a different story for a different
well,
time.
he wasn't at there. He was at the Room. Ken kind of.
Oh, that's right. He was back at the room when the police came.
That's what happened.
That's right.
Yeah, but anyway, Pat was just a genius in this business. He's going to be missed, and you know, he was there for a long time. I mean, he was with Vince for
since the early 80s.
Yeah, and came up with the ideas, and what a mind for this business. So he's, you know, and he was always happy and throwing jokes, and, you know, good guy.
Was he helpful to you when you guys came in?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He'd tell right there, you know, when he'd watch it, he'd call you aside and, you know, tell you what's going on. You know what I mean? And we were taught, you know, if you want to ask some people, because some of the, you know, big legends and stuff won't give you advice if you don't want to ask. They're not going to come up to you, but Pat would come up to you because, you know, he was working on the other side and, you know, would say, hey, you should try this or maybe try that, or, you know. So, but yeah, he was always helpful, you know, but just too much. And then we lost, I went to that funeral too, but we were all signing at the main event in New York, and the guy brought me and Sag in, and he brought me, Gene, and Pat in. And them two together, oh, God. It's just funny. Oh, yeah, because they're always at each other, going back and forth. You know what I mean? They're always nipping at each other, and they were right next to us. Oh, they had us laughing the whole time we were signing, but, you know.
Oh, you made it to Mean Gene services, too?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We had tried to get him to come into the studio not too long before he passed away, too. Another one who's, I would have loved to have sat here and documented some of his career, you know?
Oh, and the stories he has. He was around for a long time, too, you know?
Yeah,
so, yeah. He's a Minneapolis.
Another Minnesota guy, that's right. Started out as a DJ and wound up in the world of professional wrestling.
Yes, sir. And, you know, it's just so many lately, you know. I mean, boom, 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 boom. You go, what the heck? You know what I mean? I mean, even, you know, we lost Bundy. We lost a lot of people this year. If you really think about it, Kamala, we just lost him. You know, and he was a gentle giant.
Another man that sat in your very seat here in this studio, yeah.
Yeah.
We did a nice 3-hour piece with him.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, good human being.
Gentle giant, really, really nice. And that gimmick, he made some money. You know, him and Hogan made some money all over the place.
They had a big house show run.
Oh, yeah.
During Hogan's peak in 86 and 87.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I was going to tell you, though, with the, you know, like, he's the 10th man for the race.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, so they get me to come up here when we're playing you guys, and then it was I think we had you 3-1. It was the 5th game. If they win it, they're going to the World Series. Well,
2008.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, and they got me great seats. And Pat went with us, and we had this Rayhawk shirts. And
now,
we were Pat Catino.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and well, I had these Rayhawk shirts made up, and I had my hair purple. And man, the first inning, some guy right in front of me threw a beer in my face, but we were only like 10 rows up from, and the other guy was asking, how did you get these seats? Because they were usually, you know, season ticket holders, you know, the ones that right there where you're up front. And I said, well, they got them for us, you know. And then in the 7th inning, 18 cops came up, and they escorted me out of Fenway for my own safety, because the U's were losing at the time. So they were afraid, the fans, because I already had beer thrown on me, every piece of hot dogs off my head. And I had my wife with me, you know, so she was getting pelted and that. But I'm used to it because I know when I wrestled the Garden back in the day, you know, it was, you know, you get everything thrown at you.
And Catino wore a Devil Ray shirt?
What's that?
Catino wore a Devil Ray shirt?
He wore a Ray Hawks, my shirt that I had made, but it had the Tropicana field behind it. It had my face with the thing, and it said Ray Hawk.
I'm ashamed of the man. I love Fenway Park.
You know how much heat he got over it? But because It was on the news when they escorted me out, and then someone switched the story like I got kicked out, and I didn't. They kicked me. The cops were scared that they were when they had attacked, and then I was outside taking pictures with all the police, and you hear this big roar, and that's when Big Papi hit the grand slam. You guys came back, then went to Tampa. We lost Game 6, and then we finally won Game 7 in Tampa.
I'll never
You know what
forget
I mean?
that night. I remember exactly where I was.
Yeah.
But you know what? Hey, the Red Sox have won 4 world championships
Yeah.
in this century. Fans can't complain. That's a pretty good percentage.
But that stadium, that's like a cathedral right there. You know what I mean?
Well, do you go to the
Fenway.
Rays games still?
You know what? I haven't been for a while. You know, after Coach Madden left, you know, and then me and him became good friends, and he won with Chicago. You know, so I go on occasions, and they ask me to come over, but not like I was. When I was going like 60, 70 games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I wish I was buddies with you then. I would have been going with you.
Well, and then what's your announcer? Is it Remy?
Jerry Remy.
Yeah,
Rem Dog.
And I didn't really know him too good, but I had one of my friends who lives from Boston, Rick McIntosh, and we always would go up to see Dwayne Stacks and them, and he went over and introduced me to him, and I says, "Nice to meet you, sir," this and that, and my boy here from up here, he went totally crazy, and you know when we were going downstairs, he goes, "You don't even know who that is," and I didn't at the time because we never got Boston down there,
Right.
you know, unless when we played, we didn't hear the announcer. The announcer was Dwayne Stacks, and I forget the pitcher that used to be there, but yeah, it was a lot of fun, you know what I mean? It was.
They used to put you on the Boston broadcasts, and Remy would commentate over you heckling the Red Sox on the Boston
Well, because I was always sitting, they always had me in them good seats on the thing, you know. But right after they got won the World Series, you know, that won the World Series, after they played the Phillies, well, that's where Marie and Sag are from. So I was then they asked me to go to Philly, and I went, oh, I said, I'm from Philly. I'll never get from my car to the stadium with any Ray stuff on because them fans are just crazy.
That's a different breed.
Yeah, it definitely is.
It's a different breed.
Hey, they threw snowballs at Santa Claus.
I remember, right? Yep. All right, before we go, Brian, any final memories of Pat Patterson, the man that did it his way?
You know what? I could just say that he always gave great advice. He was a true legend. And if people could ever look back, it has to be, WWE has to have it on the network, but if you watch when he wrestled, because he was amazing. He really was. He was just an amazing wrestler. He had an amazing mind for this business, and he's going to be dearly missed, that's for sure. You know?
All right, wrestling fans, and I'll say this, Brian, you're going to be dearly missed until the next episode we take. We've had a heck of a lot of fun. We hope to turn Brian into a regular, much like we have with Tony Atlas, with Marty Jannetty, and some of the other great legends that pour in and out of this humble TV studio. If you see this before the big day comes, December the 25th, don't forget, our pallbearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fanfest continues through the big day. You can continue to honor this man's memory and update Santa Claus's GPS to find every kid's house this holiday. For
That's
my
awesome.
partner in crime, Brian Nobbs, I'm Dan Marty. Until we see you again, folks, you and yours, be well, stay healthy. Good night.
Stay nasty.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Here's your chance to own a piece of history from the 2020 WWE Draft. On the second night, October the 12th, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Alexa Bliss unleashed hell on Andrade and Zelina Vega. This limited edition 11x14 collector's poster is number 26 of only 50 made, personally signed by both The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, direct from friends at WWE. Comes with certificate of authenticity hologram on the poster itself, suitable for framing. You'll also receive a bonus autographed mystery photo and an on-air shout-out as our thanks to you. Get this ultra-rare autographed Fiend and Alexa Bliss poster now. Wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area, we want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889. All right, wrestling fans, hope you enjoyed that episode. Right there is just a small sample of why you should be part of our Patreon, where not only are you helping keep Wrestling Legends working, but you get early, full-screen, ad-free access to Wrestling Insiders. You get the Studio Shoot Interview DVD library, as seen by millions online, millions more on The Howard Stern Show. You get Patreon-exclusive content and much, much more at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. If you cannot remember that link, you can easily find it in the comment section below. As we continue with this tribute to our friend Brian Knobbs, right now we're going to take a look back to this, I believe it was December, when Brian was with us in studio, where he discusses the man that pulls on the strings to my heart, a guy I thought of like a second dad, Paul Bearer, and why the Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks toy drive is so important and why he wanted to be a part of it himself. Believe it or not, we're almost in September. We're going to be thinking Christmas before we know it. Oh, my God. Can you believe that? All right, folks, as the summertime winds down, Brian Knobbs talks Paul Bearer.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome to another Wrestling Insiders. Very happy to be joined in studio for the very first time by one half of former WWF, WCW Tag Team Champions, Brian Knobbs. Brian, a pleasure to have you here in studio.
Hey, man, thank you for having me, and you have one hell of a setup here. This is awesome.
Well, thank you. Believe me, I wish I owned it. I'm like the furniture. I'm easily disposable. Easily disposable.
Don't cut yourself short. I saw your show.
Oh,
Very good.
Which one did you see?
I just saw
Savio.
Savio.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I haven't seen him in years, and he looked great. So I was
He
watching
did.
that. Yeah,
I wish I looked as good as him, and he's got about 15 years on me, so there you go. But nonetheless, fans, it's that time of year again. I know the C word offends some people, but we use the word Christmas around here because we like it. It is the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fan Fest. Usually, we'd be bringing fans a live wrestling event, but because of the nature of the beast in the world in 2020, we cannot do that. Capacity for indoor events in Massachusetts was only 25 people up until last month, and now it's 10. So, I mean, we couldn't even allow people to come into the studio to meet and greet these superstars, but luckily, due to technology, we were able to have a virtual autograph signing. And for those fans that maybe, if they missed us live on December the 5th, the good news is the Nasty Boys, Marty, Savio, Tony Atlas, Leo Rush, and everybody else that's still to come, they signed the pictures, they signed the posters. As long as you get your order in by probably December the 19th with the way the mail goes, we can get you out a VIP package in time for Christmas, whether it be for yourself, whether it be to give as a holiday gift to a friend or a loved one, or give it to a homeless person. But you know what? Our mission is to honor this man's memory right here, the late, great Paul Bearer. And along with is, I guess we have to say in kayfabe wrestling terms, in case we have little ones watching, we have to update Santa Claus's GPS to find every kid's house this year.
That's it. But congratulations to you for doing this, because Paul Bearer was a genuinely great man. I mean, really. He made you laugh. He was just a great person to be around, and there was never a time I wasn't around that he didn't put a smile on my face. And I really appreciate you having me and SAG on here to help out with the toy drive.
I still miss the man every day. I really, really do. When they did the Undertaker farewell a couple of weeks ago, and they had that hologram of him when Undertaker was on his knees doing the thing with the hand, and Paul Bearer held the urn, that choked me up. That was a great moment, but...
And I missed that. I have DirecTV, and some storm came through, and sometimes when a storm comes
Oh, really?
through.
It knocked it out?
And not knocked, yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is it is on WWE Network if you want to catch up on it. A great tribute to one of the great legends in The Undertaker. But again, this toy drive, it's all about the kiddos. It's all about trying to create smiles. Again, where you almost entered WWF around the same time as Paul Bearer. Any favorite memories, road stories, ribs?
Well, actually, me and Sag entered with Undertaker.
Yeah, just about a month after the fact.
I think it was November of 1990. Me and Mark and Sag left WCW and signed with Vince together. So we got up there together at the same time. And one hell of a gimmick.
Yeah, well, Paul Bearer came in January of '91, just a little bit after the fact.
And he was a true
that
mortician.
That wasn't a gimmick. That was a shoot.
No,
he carried his degree to mortuary science until he passed away.
Yeah, yep. And he told us some stories. I was like, that's a hard job to have, but but what a sense of humor on him. He really, I mean, just being around him, he lit up the room. So I miss him. I do.
Good quality human being.
We were on a lot of road trips with him and overseas and that, and we always had fun. You know what I mean? One time it was me, Sag, and Undertaker, and I forget who. Can't remember who we were wrestling. And Sag took the urn and was going woo, and Undertaker grabbed it off Sag, gave it back to Paul, and said, under his breath, don't fucking touch the urn.
Yeah, that's the gimmick. Because you remember back then, the Undertaker character lived and died by when Paul Bearer would raise it up and down, so he didn't want anyone fucking with that.
No.
Or the Undertaker would look like he'd almost be doing a dance or something like that,
But Mark, I take my hat off to him because 30 years and to keep the quality of wrestling that he did. If he couldn't do the show, he wouldn't. And he did it for 30 years straight for WWE or WWF when we were there. But and he always had fantastic matches, and the main event matches were unbelievable. And he just stayed in that realm, and that's hard to do, man. I mean, 30 years wrestling, and I'm telling you, I'm all beat up and broken up from what got me is after Sag got hurt, we kind of helped start that hardcore thing back in the day in WCW with Cactus and that. Then it got to be a thing. So when I came back to WCW by myself, they put me in the hardcore division. And I was 2 years. I was world champ 4 times for WCW. But that took a toll on my body. And I feel it now. How many years later? I think it was 1999, year 2000, I was, hardcore before
doing a single.
before the Vince pulled out because Sag was hurt, so. But that took a toll on my body, Every night going through tables and me and Finley going at each other, so. It was crazy.
Well, a lot of fans have asked, they were noted online that you had run into some health issues over the past couple of years. How are you holding up now?
Yeah, I'm holding up. I mean, just like everybody else, it's hell getting old. I mean, and especially in our business, because, we were going 300 days a year, double shots on Saturday and Sunday, and if you didn't wrestle, you didn't get paid. So we definitely were, tearing it up. And when you're young and kind of dumb, you don't feel the pain, and you just keep on wrestling. And then
when you're in your 20s and 30s, it doesn't affect you as much.
And then it all catches up to you. So, but I'm, knock on wood, I'm still here. And the fans, without you guys, me and Sag would have never been the Nasty Boys. You guys are the guys that really put us over. So, when we go to these Comic Cons, which there was none this year at all, it really feels good to have, now they're grown men and they have kids and they're showing our matches to them on the WWE Network. So we did something right because that people still come out to see us and loved our gimmick, and we get a lot of. I used to hate you when I was a kid because when we were heels, bad guys. We were heels, bad guys. I used to like the heel bad guy, better.
Well, I just think this studio could be a tremendous platform for you and so many of the other great legends and veterans and Hall of Famers to tell their stories. I've said it before. WWE has bought the libraries. They've bought. They're entitled to present history the way they want to present it. But that doesn't mean there aren't a lot of great individuals out there that have their memories, their legends, their experiences, their stories to share with the fans, to not just to watch for a moment or two, but that they can live on forever. Not everybody is going to get a 3-disc DVD set like The Undertaker or Bret Hart. And it's important for the guys because there are a lot of human beings whose lives went through just as much as those main event talents.
Well, that's what the network helps because you can go and, anyone who has the network can go back to them, all the matches because he owns WCW, AWA when we started. He has all the matches. He owns everything. I think he even owns, we were in Jarrett's territory.
Memphis.
Memphis. He owns Florida, so he has, all of them. He has the whole library, so, but it's good that he's just not sitting on it.
Right.
I mean, people want to look it up, they just look it up, and it's tons of our matches against Public Enemy, and oh, my word.
They can watch the action on WWE Network or even YouTube, and then they can come and watch a show like this and hear the behind the scenes about how all of these great things came to life. And look at how great it's worked out for Marty Jannetty. Since just July, he's already been here to tape for 7 days. So it's a great way for the guys to earn easy extra income by just coming in, signing some autographs and talking. And we have a lot of fun and laughs as we do it. We're very happy to have you here for the toy drive. Again, we wish we had a live wrestling event, but knock on wood, we'll be able to do something like that in 2021. Before we go, any final memories of Paul Bearer, the man, the gimmick?
I don't know if I told you a story about we were in Europe and he got to the buffet first because he was at the buffet for all of us and he had 2 huge plates of food with breakfast out and he went like, "Woo, yeah," with that voice and Sang had his bag there. And he tripped over Sang's bag. The food went up. His face was in the eggs. First, we made sure he was okay. And then when we knew he was okay, we started laughing. And he was going, he was blaming us like we did a rib to him, but we didn't because we came right from the bus. We drove all night to get to the town. They had the food waiting, so Sang just threw his bag down there. And Paul didn't see it because he was up going, "Woo," and all of a sudden, zoop, there he went, head over heels, so.
Oh, I can hear that voice squealing, that little Alabama accent that he had. I can hear him right now. And those are the types of stories that we like to share, folks. Again, for more information on the 9th Annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fan Fest, head on over to bostonwrestling.com. If you missed the live virtual autograph signing, it's all right. We had enough photos printed up and the posters, God willing, that we can put in the VIP packages as long as you get your order in probably by December the 19th. The mail in the United States has been kind of crazy this year, so we don't want to overpromise. But even the posters that we have printed up for the event, Bushwhacker Luke was going to be joining us, but because of an issue with his daughter, he was unable to do so. But he was kind enough to sign the posters. But as he mailed them back due to a mail delay, they weren't here for us last night with Savio's, so we got to figure out a way to get to Savio, and I'm praying that the mailman drops them off for us tonight, but we'll hold our breath. All right, wrestling fans, again, we're in for
it's a great cause, man.
It's a great cause.
I mean, come on, and for Paul Bearer, and it's for the kids and everybody. Christmas, as a kid, you got to get some kind of toy underneath the tree.
We're not curing cancer.
No, exactly.
But at the same time,
it's Christmas.
The year I was telling you about when I was in the accident with the Sheik, I remember how difficult it was to put a Christmas together for the little ones in my life. So I really empathize and sympathize with the parents that go through that problem who, for whatever reason, Santa might have a hard time finding the house this year. So we're going to do everything we can on our end to try and create some smiles. And as we do so, honor the man that helped start this drive with myself and John Cena Sr. back in 2012. Some may say there's a little phoniness with John Cena Sr. when it comes to the moss on the top of the head, I don't know. But when it comes to Christmas, the love in his heart is a shoot, I guess is the best way to put it. He's a good actor. All right, wrestling fans, not only do we have Brian here for this video, but he's going to be joining us for several episodes of Wrestling Insiders. I think it's going to be fantastic. If you guys like it, if you guys give us positive feedback, we hope to turn it into a regular thing. Brian's only down in Florida. It's not too long of a flight for him. Get him up here. We can have him telling his great stories from his career throughout AWA, Memphis, Florida, WCW, WWF, NWA, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But before we go, there's one person that we neglected to mention that helps make this toy drive happen every year. So hopefully someone you're going to be joining in the WWE Hall of Fame. Someone inducted just in 2019 that got the Warrior Award, the one and only Sue Aitchison.
Oh, really? She's going to be on the show?
No, she helps us every year.
She's such a sweetheart. Oh, my word. She's a sweetheart. You know, she was always nice to us. A really good person, you know. And that's good that she's helping you.
Every year since we started.
Yeah.
And even beyond with different live events when we do similar endeavors to try and help out different nonprofits.
Does she live in the area up here?
She lives in Connecticut, yeah. But no, it's just she's just always a phone call
is she
or an
retired
email away.
from? No, she's still working?
No, Titan Towers, she said, is pretty much about 95% closed down right now because of the virus.
Right.
But, you know, all you need to do is just make a call, send an email, and she always comes through in the clutch. A great human being.
She called not too long ago for something, and it was good. We remember
you
this.
spoke to her?
Yeah,
oh, that's
about a couple months ago, maybe about 3 or 4 months ago. She called for something, and then, you know, I told her congratulations and all that stuff. But yeah, she definitely deserves it.
She loves catching up with the guys.
Yes.
I know that.
Yeah.
Just a good human being, much like our friend Paul Bearer.
Oh, she was been in it a long time.
86.
Yeah.
She's had a hell of a run. Yeah. All right, wrestling fans, for our new friend Brian Knobbs, I'm Dan Marati. Stay tuned for more great content, not only with Brian Knobbs, but Jerry Sags as well.
Time to get nasty.
Savio Vega has joined us for the first time this fall. We've got Tatanka, the Warlord. So many more coming to this great studio to bring you the memories and legends of professional wrestling. Until we speak again, happy holidays, be healthy, be well. Good night.
Merry Christmas.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marati.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Johnny, the momentum here in Boston wrestling continues as we continue to build and build and build. The fans want to know, how do we help? We subscribe to the Patreon. But we see all the great merchandise on that set. Coronavirus may have killed the nightlife, especially for someone like Marty, but our acclaimed eBay store is open 24/7 around the world.
Wow. Check it out.
Support Wrestling Insiders and keep wrestling legends working on eBay. At Survivor Series, it was champion versus champion as WWE champion Drew McIntyre battled Universal champion Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman. Get this 11x14 poster autographed by all three men. Limited edition, number 42 of only 50, with authentication hologram on the back of the poster itself. Comes with a mystery autographed 8x10 photo and an on-air shout-out from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas on Wrestling Insiders at your house. Get it now.
Cheer. Why, hello. I would ask what was on your mind, but I already know. You want to know what has got my beard looking oh so majestic. And I'll tell you, it's sexy as hell beard care. Coconut oil, vitamin E oil, almond oil, both sweet and bitter, shea butter, it's all natural. Yes, JTG has actually come out with a high quality product. So support your boy by going to sahbeardcare.com and take one step closer to becoming sexy as hell. Cheer. Ooh, cheer. You know?
Wrestling fans, if you want to keep great productions going, like we had with Brian Knobbs, again, the Boston Wrestling eBay store is open 24/7 with great merchandise with superstars of every era. You can find the link in the description box below. Also, don't be a Scrooge. talking Christmas. Don't be a Grinch. Be a stand-up, high-quality human being. And don't forget to tip the bartender. Don't forget to tip the waiter or the waitress for all the great entertainment tonight. We have the Super Chat button going on YouTube. It's that little $ symbol under the Premier Chat. Click it. You can send anything you like. If you use Venmo, we are at Boston Wrestling, thanks to buddy Captain Lou Data, who helped organize that for us. And if you're a PayPal folk, you can use the email address bw@bostonwrestling.com. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Every dollar used helps us bring great productions to light. And boy, have we had some great productions, some interesting productions lately, folks. Again, we noted just last week alone, we had both John Cena Sr. and Justin Credible, the former ECW World Champion, in studio. We have so much coming your way this fall as part of our 20th anniversary, along with the toy drive itself. It is maddening. But right now, you want to talk about maddening. What about Brian Knobbs discussing the Nasty Boys' big jump from a big push in WCW to go north to the World Wrestling Federation, along with Brian competing and becoming one of the final three in Royal Rumble 1991. Check it out.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to Wrestling Insiders. Very happy to have Brian Knobbs of the Nasty Boys with us here in studio. You guys have wanted him for a while. Here he is.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hopefully the first of many visits to come.
Yes, definitely, definitely. This place is unbelievable.
I
awesome studio.
I hopefully someday it'll be under my name, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to be here nonetheless. We've produced a lot of great content over the past 19 years, Brian. Usually in this show right about now, we're trying to take a look at the great times in the what was WWF, now WWE. Of course, almost like a tree, your career has many branches and places and leaves that it's been, so we'll see what direction the great adventure takes us. But we'll start from the beginning. December of 1990, you had the Ultimate Warrior as the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion. Mr. Perfect was the Intercontinental Champion. Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the Tag Team Champions. WWF was in a bit of a rut. 1990 was not a great year at the door. And to try and freshen things up in the fall of 1990, Vince McMahon gave notice to over a dozen stars, and a lot of new faces started to pop up. And as noted, in December, one of the final TV tapings of the year was the debut of recent WCW superstars, Brian Knobbs and Jerry Saggs. How did it come to be? What brought the Nasties to the World Wrestling Federation?
The match between the Steiners, Halloween Havoc, WCW, 1990. Anybody want to look at that? Go to the network. They have it. Awesome match. We went about 24, 25 minutes. And it was crazy, and a great match. They're great guys. They're great wrestlers, and we had a program going with them. And after that match, about a week later, Hulk called me and said, "Hey, Vince wants to talk to you and wants you to bring you guys up." And I told him he was full of shit, and he was bullshitting me. And he goes, "No, I'm serious. He's going to call you." And in about 10 minutes, Vince called me, and we had a conversation, and he said he'd like to have us come up there. And, I said, well, they're working on a contract right now and this and that. And then he goes, well, I have just no money contracts, but I guarantee you'll make probably 3 to 4 times more than they're offering you.
Wow.
And he wasn't lying. So, we said yes.
So WCW had you guys in a pretty good position, but you weren't under contract.
Yeah, we were just like not like a 2 or 3 year. We were just on a little short contract,
one.
And then all of a sudden, right after that Steiner match, they wanted to sign us, and they offered us this, and that was right after the Steiner match, and it happened so fast that before they had a chance to sit down with us and that, we were there for about 6 months, and Vince is calling. That's where you want to be. If you're a pro wrestler, you want to be in a WrestleMania.
Right.
That is kind of, if you were never at a WrestleMania and you're a pro wrestler, that's what you want to do. And at that time, they were only on 7. Now they're on, what, 35?
It'll be 36 37 next year.
37.
Wow, isn't that
Unbelievable.
something?
So
What-
30 years ago we were on, you know, so.
Did you guys, I think Jerry said when he was with us, you had a meeting with Hurd and Jim Ross to try and sign you?
Yeah, then they, you know, Jim Ross kind of, you know, went to the Steiners, and because we weren't going to do the job on the way out because we're going to Vince, we just signed it, and the Steiners stuck with us, said, hey, man, these guys did everything we ever wanted. They're great guys. We love working with them, and whatever they want to do and how they want to finish it up. And it was a DQ on us, but, you know, Jim Ross was plugging for us to get beat right in the middle before we go up there, and Steiner stuck with us. And
Wow.
yeah,
Dude, that's impressive.
Yeah, well, we've good friends with Robbie and Scotty, you know, so, and been good friends with them a long time. I mean, back in the day, when we first got there, they were supposedly hurting people, you know, and all they were doing was they know how to wrestle, both Michigan, you know.
Yeah.
And me and Sag were barroom fighters, so we learned from Vern Gagne. So, you know, we knew, you know, from Vern and getting taught by Brad, you know, we knew how to brawl and fight, and plus we knew how to work.
Yeah.
They taught you how to work, you know, every day working, you know, these different territories, then going down to Jarrett's territory and working every day, and then driving on the road and talking over your matches, and that really helped. I mean, it really toned you up. So by the time we hit WCW, we were ready. We were ready to, you know, we've been there. We've been Florida Championship Wrestling. We were in South Atlantic, you know, and then, you know,
Memphis.
Memphis, that's Jarrett. You know, Jerry Lawler and you know, Jerry Jarrett owned it.
Right.
Mid-South, you know. So, all of these places, you worked every day, even Florida Championship Wrestling with Mike Graham and Steve Kernan, and Dusty came in, you know, and that was before Dusty left to go up the WWE or WWF, and then they put the polka dots on him and stuff, and he got that over. So, you know, you can't mess with the dream. He's a true legend.
He made it work.
Yeah, he made it work because they're getting funky like a monkey and pumped if you will, baby, you know, so. But then from then on, it was, you know, right after that, they brought us right in on in 1990, November, and I said it earlier that it was me, Sag, and Mark Undertaker.
Undertaker, yep.
We all came in together in November, I think, like maybe middle or third week of November. We signed a deal with them, and then before you know it, we were wrestling the Bushwhackers, and it was all to get us ready for, you know, WrestleMania.
Now,
and we didn't know that, though. I mean, we didn't know nothing. I mean, they asked me, and I don't know why Sag wasn't in it, and the Royal Rumble in 1991, and I thought, okay, they need somebody up. And then I look on the board, and the last three in the ring are me, Earthquake, and Hogan. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I found the power of Hulkamania to hearing the fans, and so, you know, he goes, well, how do you want to go out? And I said, give me the big boot. And I'll go over backwards like this. And he said, you sure you can make that bump? You're pretty big. And I said, I definitely will make that bump. And, man, I didn't even touch that top rope. I was so amped up, you know what I mean? And it was me and Earthquake and him at the end. And then him and Earthquake had a little deal. And that's when they had their little, you know, deal going on. And I think Sarge came in at the end there to make the match for WrestleMania, you know, so.
Now, what were your first impressions of Vince McMahon as you started to interact with him?
Nice guy, knew his stuff, and, you know, like any other boss, you know. He's the boss, so you're listening to what he says, and, you know, we had our own thing, so we would, you know, chime in, and, you know, sometimes they put some of the stuff in, sometimes they didn't, and Pat was there at the time, Patterson, helping him out, so, you know, that was, you know, it took us a while, like 5 years to get our character down, because when we went, when you watch our matches first in AWA, we were wearing spandex yellow and boots and the wrestle thing, and all of a sudden, when we went down to Mid-South, Jerry the King Lawler said, you guys call yourself the Nazi Boys, but you don't look like it. You should be more like a street. And then that's what gave us the thing to put sweatshirts, splash them up, Nasty Boys, and another thing is to cover our bodies up, only our arms stuck out, so this way, you didn't see us being, the fat guys we were. It covered that up, so we were the first ones that started covering up the bodies, which was good, and the only thing we didn't like is Jerry Lawler's a great artist, so he would paint our faces for TV. When he did it,
you wore face paint?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, he did it. And then when we had to do it on the road, it looked like 2 kindergarten kids did it, and we didn't like it. Not only because of that reason, because then it's really copying the Road Warriors. Because we came into camp with these haircuts. So right away people were going Road Warriors, but at the time, we didn't even know who the Road Warriors were because, all we got was WWF. Or at the time, it was WWF. I go all the way back to Bruno and Zabisco and Pampiro Firpo and Toru Tanaka and Mr. Fuji when they were wrestling because they used to do TV in Hamburg and then Philly, but then the studio burned down in Philly, then they brought it to Allentown, so they would do Hamburg and Allentown, and then all the guys would be in the back, Chief J Strongbow and, all them guys were still wrestling. So, that was when I was young.
I know the contract wasn't for any kind of guaranteed money, but was it for a certain length of time as far as number of years?
You know what? I don't remember. I think it was. I think it was for like 3 years maybe. Might have been a 3-year contract. I don't remember. I just know it was no money, but, but we made money. Right.
Now, did they ever, where you had prior usage of the Nasty Boys, it would be a gimmick that you could go on to own, as you still do to this day.
Yeah.
Did they ever pitch a character to you that they could own or tweak it? Or no? They just wanted the Nasty Boys.
That match said it all. But they must have been watching before that, but that match is what put it over the top. If you watch it, it is good. And then, well, Kevin Sullivan went to me, and I said, well, Kevin, and Kevin goes, well, if I were you, he says, I would take Scotty's finish right in the middle. So he gave me the Frankensteiner and pinned me right in the middle. But then afterwards, we got our heat back. He got, threw Ricky into the steel post, and he hurt his shoulder. So now Scotty's out doing an interview, and he's, going, I'm going to get you. And then all of a sudden behind him comes a popcorn vendor with a beard, and it's SAG going, popcorn, peanuts, while he's talking on the, doing his interview, and also, like, Scotty looked at him like, who is this guy? And he went, Nasty Boys if you want, and all of a sudden here comes SAG with the whole tray of crap he had, hit it over, and, knocked him out, knocked him, let him lay, and I came running out, we put the boots to him, Steiners, we're not over yet, and I said it so fast, I don't even know what I said, and it sounded like a big blur, but, and then another thing we did on our own, there was when we had the signing in Chicago, we took their belts and knocked them over the head with them. That's the first time anybody really laid the Steiners out. So that helped to get to that match. So, and it was all about that match. Right after that, man, it wouldn't even take a week, but told you Hulkster called me. I thought he was really, BSing me.
Ribbing you, yeah.
Yeah, ribbing me, like, okay, right, thanks, yeah, right, Hulks. I said, all right, big man, thanks. I said, no, he's going to call you. And he did like 5-10 minutes later.
At what point did you learn that you were going to be aligned at the hip with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hawk, to try and give you some credibility?
They just put him with us. And, the first road trip, we went on a 10-dayer, and he drove with us and everything like that. And then when we landed in Tampa, because he lived in Tampa too, he goes, I love you guys, but from now on, you guys could get your own car and this and that, because we were actually 3 of us in the room, we were doing that,
Oh, you were even splitting the room together?
Yeah, me, SAG, and Jimmy, and then 10 days of that, Jimmy went, you guys are on your own now. I taught you, this is how it is, so be on time, blah, 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 blah. But he's still one of the best managers, and we didn't have too many. We had Missy Hyatt, that Dusty gave us, but Jimmy actually helped us and still helps us to this day. He's still, me and him are still best of friends. We, talk to each other all the time, and I call him the hardest working man in show business.
He's almost 80 years old, and he still goes like he's in his 30s. It's unbelievable.
Going, still looks, same.
Spends a lot of time on that here. Let me ask you this. Your first TV taping, right in Tampa, Florida. Any memories of that day? Did any veterans come to you and give you some good advice, maybe some bad advice, some people that weren't happy to see you come to the company?
I would like to, have a story about that, but
what do we got?
I forget what happened last week. Actually, really, because some of the things I see now. There was a 6-man we had, and Piper and the Bushwhackers against us and Molly. And that was in Tampa. Don't remember that. Oh, don't remember that at all. And it was a good match. I go, how didn't I remember that? I mean, and Pipes was in there, So, there's every once in a while something will catch me off guard, and,
well, sometimes you just need to jog the memory. That's all.
Yeah,
And that's why these shows are great, because some guys have said they're not only like interviews, but sometimes they're like therapy.
Well, one thing was when we did get there, Kurt Hennig was our mentor, and we did so much stuff. We got fired from AWA a couple times, and it wasn't our fault, but Kurt always had something to do with it. He was the king of the ribs because he learned from Mr. Fuji, but he was up there. The Rockers were there, and all these guys that we grew up with. In 86, 87, AWA, and we were in Mid-South together. So when we finally got up there, all them guys were already there and kind of established. Yeah, a lot of friends that would help us and told the other guys that these guys are cool, this and that, and so.
So no one was ribbing you or anything when you first got on the scene?
Oh, please, yes.
Oh, really? There was some ribbon going on.
Yeah, well, Kurt,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know how many times I lost eyebrows, and your bag locked to you, ready to leave, and your bag's chained to the seat. You can't leave without. You got to go get the guy, either get a key or a bolt cutter, all kind of ribs, dude. I mean, yeah, but
most of it good-natured.
Yeah, everything was good-natured. Yeah, nothing was meant to hurt. Yeah, it was funny, So, but I miss Kurt. He was our mentor. I miss him big time. I'm glad for Joe, and I'm glad for Bo, Rotundo's kid, and Wyatt.
Yeah.
Because we wrestled. Mike was good friends with us in WCW, and then he was up there at his IRS, and what I mean. So we knew a lot of the guys that were with us. In different places are now up there. So, actually it made the transition very easy.
Easy transition when you knew so many people, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So we had a good time.
Also at that first TV taping, kind of a memorable incident for one of the co-hosts of this show, our good friend on Thursday night at 10 p.m., Mr. Party with Marty Jannetty himself. The enhancement talent, Chuck Austin, took the rocker dropper wrong and broke his neck.
Oh, yeah.
He wound up suing the company and was awarded over $26 million, costing Marty $500K out of pocket. Any memories of that happening on what was a huge night for you guys preparing for your TV debut?
Yeah, but nobody knew how bad he was until after.
Okay.
Yeah, well, they got him out of there. You didn't know. The emergency was right there. They took him and they shot him right to the hospital. So we didn't know till after how bad he really was. You know what I mean?
People knew he was injured, but no one knew to what
nobody
extent.
knew how bad it was. Yeah,
And what I found was kind of amusing, and this is a question they always want us to ask. His partner that night was the genius Lanny Poffo, a Florida man himself. What are your thoughts on Lanny? The fans love this. I'm not quite sure why, but Lanny has a special skill. The service, you know what I mean? The fellatio. What is it about the self-service with Lanny that he enjoys so much? Did you ever witness it in the locker room?
No.
You never witnessed it?
No.
No, all right.
No.
Well, many
If
have.
you're talking what I think you're talking about.
Yeah, servicing.
Yeah. No,
He said he never had to quarantine from himself this year. He was never alone.
No, I never. No.
I just couldn't imagine trying to get my body in that position, but that's just me, I guess.
I don't know, but no, he didn't. Lanny was on with other guys. We had our crew, which was Kurt and Taker and Yoko and Godfather or Papa. We knew Papa back in '89. He
In
was
Memphis?
Baron Shemidi in South Atlantic. John Studd was there.
Oh, wow.
George Scott started it up with Ringley. And
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's
and
right. What was his
we
name
had Paul
again?
Jones.
What was
What's that?
Papa Shango's name there again?
Baron Shemidi.
Baron Shemidi. I never knew that. Okay,
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, and then he told me all the character's real name, how they got it, and it was pretty amazing when I just talked to him. I still talk to him all the time too. He's a true
good egg.
brother.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
a good guy.
true brother.
He's been here in this studio
Yeah, he's funny and good guy, man. Good-hearted guy.
too. After they get you over on TV with a few enhancement match wins, you started the house show loops at first with a couple of good friends of ours, Luke and Butch the Bushwhackers. Memories of your
Awesome.
house show runs with the men from down
Awesome.
under.
Awesome. And they never complained because we were stiff. I'm just going to tell you, that's what made we got so long so good with the Steiners, but we were young and stiff and never complained, ever. And we used to have some awesome matches with them. You know, we had some, great. I mean, we were the first match at with 94,000 people at Wembley Stadium. Nobody knows it because it wasn't on the pay-per-view, but it was them and Hacksaw against me, Sag, and the Mountie.
Yep.
And when you're the first match, man, nobody did nothing yet, so the people were going
Fought for
nuts. And
everything.
94,000, I was like, you just think about that. You know what I mean? Like, wow, what a amazing
memory.
What a memory, and what an amazing event to be at and be involved in. You know.
And they went from being these ultra-violent sheep herders to the fun-loving bushwhackers.
Yeah.
Talk about a transition.
Yeah, they used to be crazy. You know, back in the day.
Just look at their foreheads.
They were, I think, what did Luke say? Over 45 years now. I think they've been
He's in his
yeah,
early
60.
70s,
Well,
my God, yeah.
60, the early 60s, and all over. You know, started in New Zealand. You know, and with Steve Ricard and them, and then him and Butch and two of the greatest guys, and they lived down in Florida too. We all lived down there, so it was,
Bushwhacker Beach.
Yeah, so we could always get down there and, get together. So we always got together for, different affairs and birthdays and stuff like that,
With Bushwhacker Butch, I don't know if you heard about this, but he's actually coming back to the States for the first time in quite a while to do a little mini tour this spring.
That's what Luke told me.
Yeah, that'll be great.
I talk to Luke all the time, too. Yeah, Luke's a good guy.
Oh, Luke was supposed to be with us for the drive, too. I was disappointed that we
Yeah.
weren't able to make that happen, but I'm still
Yeah.
hoping that as the day we tape this, that magic package arrives from Tampa, Florida, that he sent up that's been delayed because of the weather. But
Yeah.
Dan Luck, as I call it.
Yeah.
Dan Luck, as I call
Well,
it.
the mail's been screwy, too.
Oh, yeah.
We are, so. But, yeah, Bushwhackers were great. We loved working with them. We had... I would say up to, so we started in December, going with the routine. So we went with them December, January, February, March, and then right there at the end of March, that's when we switched over to the Heart Foundation,
Right,
and we
that
didn't know
program.
that. And a lot of guys, I think, got mad. I know, like the Road Warriors were there for a year and they still didn't have the belts.
Right.
Power and Glory, they were kind of, well, these guys just come in, they're young, and, so, but no problems at all, but it was just,
Jealousy.
we were just listening to Vince. He's
Right.
the owner. Hey, we didn't say nothing. We didn't know we were going to win or anything till, like maybe 2-3 days before,
Oh, you had a heads up that you were going to go over.
No, we didn't
Oh,
know.
you didn't have a heads up.
No, we didn't know what was going to happen. And we wrestled them only like 2 or 3 times before then, like at different house shows. But
Couple of tune-up matches, right.
Brett Stoll tells me that that's one of the best tag matches him and Jim had.
Really?
Was at WrestleMania 7.
Oh, that's quite a compliment.
Yeah, it is, especially coming from him.
The Hearts had a lot of great
excellence
matches.
Yeah, excellence in execution, and he said that. And then when I watch it back, all the spots we put in there, and with Jimmy involved and everything, and yeah, it was good. The only thing I regret is that the war broke out there,
Right.
And then it took us because that was supposed to be at the LA Coliseum.
Right.
So that would have been like 90 or 100,000
100,000
people.
people.
but they went to the sports arena, which was still good. You still had Collie McLaughlin in the audience, and you had all these movie stars, Fonzie, and Regis Philbin was there. He was on the show actually.
Yeah.
Willie Nelson sang "America the Beautiful."
Oh, we're going to get to WrestleMania 7 sooner than later. I can't
Okay.
wait for that. One that I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned that you debuted right around the same time as The Undertaker. What were your initial impressions of a gimmick-wise, of a dead man come to life, and did you think it would have a 30-year main event shelf life the first time you saw it?
I thought it was special.
Did you?
Yeah, and that was totally made up from Vince. Vince made that character, and the way Mark could work, I knew he was going nothing but up. You know what I mean? And you never know. Knock on wood. Any times. He went through some injuries too. But
Lots of injuries.
he's he went, just kept going, and he let him heal on time. But back in the day, when we were young, we never, like you said, if you didn't wrestle, you didn't get paid. So a lot of guys wrestled hurt, just kept going.
You had to.
So now when you're older, you're going, wow, maybe I shouldn't have did that. But I don't regret anything, man. I had fun, and the fans enjoy it, and they still come up and tell me today. And you're talking 30 years ago. We've been in the business now, I think 35 years. We got in 85, 86 when we first broke in. So
35 years of the Nasties. Wow. Isn't that something? Yeah. What about, as you were entering, a man that was on his way out, the greatest intercontinental champion of all time, the Honky Tonk Man? Did you have any interactions with him, or were you just kind of crossing like chips in the night?
Just knew him, yeah. We just kind of, bypassed him, like missed him, this and that, you know what I mean? And he always says nowadays with the internet stuff and some of the stuff he says, I just, that's honky.
He always has a lot to say.
Yeah, that's honky. Can we take a break here in a minute? I got to take a leak.
Well, you know what, wrestling fans? Beautiful. Right now, we'll take a brief timeout. We'll be back with the nasty boy himself, Brian Knobbs. Stand by. Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
MJ in the house.
Future WWE Hall of Famer, mind you. Let me tell you this.
I'm not in there yet.
No, not yet. Oh, okay. But you will be.
Yeah, I will.
Sean wants to be the first three-timer.
Three-timer,
yeah.
yeah.
There you go. Let me tell you, you enjoy the in-studio shoot interviews 4 times a week. It isn't cheap to put these productions together, folks. We need your
No,
help.
because they got to pay me.
Coronavirus has killed the nightlife in a lot of ways. We are night owls, Marty and I, but that's a different story for a different time. One way you can help is to check out the great merchandise we have in the Boston Wrestling eBay store. It is perfect for any wrestling man cave or any collection.
That's right. Check it out.
At Night of Champions 2020, Tribal Chief Roman Reigns successfully defended the WWE Universal Championship against his cousin, Jey Uso, in a must-see battle. Here is your chance to own a piece of Roman Reigns moments before battle on this beautiful limited edition autographed 11x14 poster direct from friends at WWE. It's number 19 of only 50 made. Includes WWE authentication hologram on the poster itself, suitable for framing and matting. You'll also receive a bonus Legends autographed 8x10 photo in an on-air shout-out on Wrestling Insiders as our thanks for helping keep Wrestling Legends working. Get this ultra-rare Roman Reigns autograph poster now. Tickets are on sale now at BostonWrestling.com for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s WrestleFest, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Mass.
Welcome back, wrestling fans. More great wrestling talk as we wrap up the Nasty Boys initiation of sorts into the World Wrestling Federation. And other gentlemen, as you guys were coming in, 2 were headed out. Dusty and Dustin Rhodes. Dusty had a plum job waiting for him in WCW as the booker, but I mean, you talk about doing jobs on the way out. As Ted DiBiase needed knee surgery, Dusty Rhodes was doing clean jobs to Virgil on the way out. I was kind of taken aback by that. To have a legend like Dusty Rhodes putting Virgil over clean.
Dusty was a businessman, so to him it was nothing. You can't take a star off, especially if it's a house show or whatever. I mean, because he went down there and then when he went to WCW and we did the War Games with him and Dustin and me and Sag against Terry Funk and Buckhouse Bunk and Arn and did you see
Haku
that?
was the other one?
Haku was outside being Colonel
Robert
Parker's
Fuller?
manager.
Oh, he was
No.
the Haku is the bodyguard.
Yeah,
That's right.
the
yeah, yeah.
bodyguard. But to be in that deal and sold out, and to see at the end when the Dream comes in at the end to clean everybody's clock, and to be actually out there in the match, what a high that was for me and Sag, because you could actually see the Dream, and this was years past his prime when he was, NWA, doing his thing and all of that stuff. And they were crazy for him, man. It was just unbelievable, and that was awesome. And another good one was me, Sag, and Rick Rude against Flair, Steamboat, and Sting. And that was another classic, So
All available on WWE Network now.
yeah.
All the classics from that era.
That's one good thing. Like I said, it's at least he didn't buy them. He just didn't put them out, and people can look all that stuff up. So the people that liked you or hated you during the day, they want to show their kids that like the newer wrestlers. Well, this is what I used to watch.
The legends never die, as they say, right?
Dude, when we did that hardcore against Max Payne and Cactus. We came back to the locker room. We thought it was such a great match, and Rick chewed us a new one in front of everybody, the whole locker room at the Rosemont Horizon, and said, "What the F are you doing? Hitting each other, And then that Tuesday, we had what was it called? Center Stage. And in front of all the boys, he apologized to us. He says, you know what? I was wrong. Because when I landed and got off the plane, the first thing my son Reed said was, hey, how is the Nasty Boys and Cactus Jack and Max Payne? How are they doing? Because it looked like we killed each other, and Zag hit Cactus over the head at the end with the shovel, because the finish was supposed to be him doing the pile driver through the table, but the table broke. So then Sag pushed him off that ramp and jumped down and hit him over the head with the shovel while I'm still doing something with Max in the back there. But when Rick came home, that's all Reed wanted to know about was that match. And he wrestled, I forget who he wrestled that night. I don't know if it was
Steamboat.
Yeah, he wrestled Steamboat. So, so he said, hey, and I thought that took a lot, because Rick was the booker at the time, and he said, hey, I have to apologize to you guys for doing what I did at the Rosemont. He said, because that's all my son could talk about was your match.
Respect.
Yeah.
Very good. And that was a great series of matches. And then the next month after that, it was Cactus and Sullivan.
Yeah.
So those were really some great brawls.
Sully got himself in there.
Bye-bye, Max Payne. Yeah.
And I guess me and Cactus went through something, and Kevin grabbed Sag and said, do the finish to me. And no, the finish was supposed to be with Cactus, and Cactus is getting the win because Cactus was, in the program with us all in months. Kevin just came in, And then with Dave Schultz, I don't know if you're a hockey fan, but
not Dr. D,
the Hammer Schultz, Broad Street Bullies, So that was another awesome deal, And then commentating it, Jesse the Body, and I think Tony Schiavone. Schiavone, this is the craziest, wildest match, wilder than the Crusher and the Bruiser ever thought of having or something, and gave us really good compliments.
It was a great soundtrack to what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
Almost instead of a theme song, you had two great announcers describing to the fans at home what was going on. Yeah.
And I mean, even back in the day when, Gorilla and them, you can't take that away from the announcing teams, you know what I mean? Then when I was small, Vince was the guy doing the interviews, when his pop was still living.
Came full circle, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, wrestling fans, that pretty much brings us to the conclusion of basically how the Nasty Boys came to be in the WWF. We're going to start to take a look at the World Wrestling Federation in 1991 when Brian Knobbs joins us again. For my new partner in crime over here, the nasty one himself, I'm Dan Marty. Until we speak again, folks, you and yours, be well, stay healthy.
And nasty.
Tickets are on sale now at bostonwrestling.com for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s WrestleFest, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Mass. Wrestling fans, it's time to rock. WWE legend Marty Jannetty of the Rockers returns for 3 big nights, Wednesday, September the 1st through Friday, September the 3rd. Marty will be taping historical Wrestling Insider episodes, live specials, insider autograph signings, support wrestling superstars, pre-order autographed 8x10s now over at bostonwrestling.com. This September, get your sunglasses ready. It's time to party with Marty.
Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marty.
And this is the man of the hour, Leo Rush.
It was all over bostonwrestling.com and our social media. But Leo, brother, they got to check out some of this merch.
They got to.
Check it out, fans, right now, available on eBay.
On October 28th, 2020, wrestling's scariest night was back with WWE NXT Halloween Havoc. This limited edition collector's autograph poster is number 12 of only 100 produced and is signed by all 9 superstars featured on the poster, including Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, Candice LeRae, Io Shirai, Dexter Lumis, Cameron Grimes, Rhea Ripley, Raquel Gonzalez, and your Halloween Havoc host, Shotzi Blackheart. Comes with WWE authentication hologram on the back. You'll also receive an on-air thank you from WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas and a bonus mystery autograph photo. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome collectible now. Wrestling fans, don't forget this Wednesday, which will actually be tomorrow night, Thursday night, Friday night, former WWE Intercontinental and Tag Team Champion, the man that's been rocking since he came out of the womb, the man that was taught how to rock by John Cena Sr. We could only be talking about Marty Jannetty. Returns to MWF Studios. We're going to be having, of course, our Wrestling Insider Party with Marty tapings. We're going to be having live episodes, watch-alongs, and of course those cyber autograph signings, so you guys can add 8x10 photos to your collections, personally signed by Marty, with Marty giving you a shout out on the air. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you're not in the Boston area, being able to do a cyber signing is cool, but if you're in the Boston area, folks, Saturday night, November the 13th, from the historic Memorial Hall, Melrose, Massachusetts, Boston Wrestling MWF celebrates 2 decades as we go back to the 80s for WrestleFest, featuring Hacksaw, Jim Duggan, Jake the Snake Roberts, Axe and Smash Demolition, Marty himself, the Doctor of Style Slick, more to be announced. Never mind a night of white, hot, in-ring professional wrestling to go along with the autographs, the pose photos, the Holiday Headlocks toy drive raffle that we're going to have. For VIPs, the Legends exclusive question and answer session you're going to get to take part of. It is going to be a happening. It's not some wrestling show. It's going to be an event that will create memories for you that will last a lifetime. Right now, we're going to go to the 4th and final episode on this a little tribute to Brian Knobbs as we try and lift the gentleman's spirits. Here, Brian Knobbs shoots on the year that was the World Wrestling Federation in 1991, WrestleMania 7 itself, and Willie Nelson. Very interesting story there. Brian Knobbs, take it away.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. Brian and I have had a lot of fun. Of late, we remembered some great legends that we lost. We talked about our 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive, Cyber Initiative. We talked a little bit about how the Nasty Boys wound up in WWF, a little of their history. Now we're going to dive into the year that was 1991. Big year for the Nasty Boys. Yes. Certainly, not only just for the Nasty Boys, but for WWF in general. 1990, business kind of went down a little bit once the Hulkster went off to Hollywood, but some guys were given notice in the fall of 90. Some new faces were brought in to try and freshen the product up, including Knobbs and Sags, the Nasty Boys. Let's kick off 91 on New Year's Day itself. A tour had been wrapping up. On a plane ride home, I guess a good friend Bobby Heenan had a couple too many, and they couldn't revive him. He was unconscious. They brought him to the area hospital in Tampa. When they
I
revived
wasn't
him,
on that flight though. I
I don't
remember
know,
it
was it-
happening, but I heard about it.
you
know?
weren't on that flight.
No.
Were you living in Tampa at the time?
Yes.
You were? Okay.
Yes, we were there since '88 when we went down to wrestle for Steve Kern and Mike Graham for Florida
Okay. Oh,
Championship.
that's right. You were in Florida.
Yeah.
The doctors asked the police to open his bag. They found a couple of pipes and 48 grams of weed, and poor Bobby was embarrassed and arrested. Now, not that 48 grams of weed nowadays,
Yeah.
people would grin.
Now it's
but
nothing.
Back in 1991, was it something that the boys started to worry about a little bit, being caught with something like that on the road, or no?
No.
No. Different night, someone just got caught.
No, it was, you know, back then it was like we were rock stars. So,
Right.
you know, and Triple H said that to me. You know, I said, well, it's true to the guys today, you know, go up to play Nintendo. And he goes, yeah, Knobs. He goes, it's so different. He goes, when you guys were in, it was like you were rock stars and rock and rollers. I said, well, that's why I got into business, because it was, you know, that kind of, you know, atmosphere all the
Yep.
time, you know. So, but yeah, it was definitely that kind of atmosphere, and you know, we were just glad that Bobby was okay and everything, you know.
Royal Rumble 1991, we discussed it a little bit. Orlando, Florida, great opening.
No,
Tag team.
Miami.
What year was Orlando? Orlando was 90, I think. See, you
Yeah,
caught me.
yeah.
You caught me, brother. You're good.
Yeah.
Because I can't see without my glasses on very well.
No.
Great opening contest between the Rockers and the Orient Express.
Yep.
How did it come to be that we discussed that you were one of the final three with Hulk Hogan and Earthquake. How was it that you came to replace the Honky Tonk Man and not Jerry?
I have no idea.
No idea. Jerry
No.
worked a dark match with Sam Houston.
Yeah.
And you went
and
at
he
it-
don't remember that.
And he doesn't remember that.
No.
But I bet you
No.
remember your spot.
I couldn't. I just was looking at the board and I was going, what? Are you kidding me? You know? And then, you know, I went in there like a ball of fire and started hitting everybody and really spudding them. And then
Yeah.
Kurt, of course, I went to hit him and he took a step back. I fell on my face and the whole Battle Royal jumped on me and started beating the living hell out of me. Davey Boy, everybody. You know, that damn Kurt got me again. You
Now-
know, but then I was there to the end, and I mean, it was just amazing to be in that spot. And then, like I said, and at the time, Hulkamania was still running wild.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man! And then being you know, me and you know, Earthquake, and Quake was such a good guy. You know, he's not here no more either. But just to be us two and Jimmy, you know, on the outside of the ring against Hulk, I mean,
Great moment.
unbelievable. Yeah, something you'll never forget. Something that's etched in your brain and your heart. You know, because you know how it was and how great it was. You know.
The day of the Royal Rumble itself, how would they go about putting together the match with 30 guys, plus even some managers running around? It must have taken a little bit of coordination or a big group meeting.
That's what Pat was good for.
Okay. So take us back.
I don't know.
You don't even remember?
No, I don't. I don't know how they did it. They just brought it in, told everybody to come in the room, and there was the board.
So
You're
there was
going
a board
out there.
it would say what number you'd go out and what number you were going to be eliminated.
Yep.
I got you. Okay. Oh, so
Yeah.
and who was going to eliminate you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it wasn't a Hollywood production, so to
Yeah,
speak.
well, it wasn't too hard to figure out who was going to eliminate me when I saw. I couldn't believe that. I was just kept on saying, really? Sure it's not a mistake? You know, because I just got in. You know, we just got in November.
Yeah,
and then
you were taking Honky Tonk Man's spot to begin with.
I
right?
didn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Because they called us at the last minute to come down, and we were in Tampa, and they flew us down, and then before you know it, you know, I was on the last three, and I went, damn, that's a good spot to have. But again, that was part of Jimmy Hart's stable. It was me and Sag, it was Earthquake, it was Dino Bravo, it was the Mountie, you
Big
know.
stable.
Yeah.
Big stable.
Yeah.
We noted that you started on the house show loop in the winter, working with the Bushwhackers, headed into spring. You did a lot of tag team matches on the road with your old friends, former house or apartment mates, I should say, down in Memphis, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty.
Well,
Your
in
thoughts on
Minneapolis
working
first.
Oh, you knew them in Minneapolis before Memphis?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah, I
right.
knew him right away in '86, you know, and it was like clockwork, and they were ahead of their time. The spots they were doing, you know, nobody was doing that. I mean, something like the Rock and Roll Express, but they were more, you know, they were coming up with, you know, things that nobody saw before, you know, with the double slide under and everything. I mean, we had one heck of a match with them at the famous Royal Albert Hall in England. I mean, we tore it up, and we always had good matches with them. That just goes way back from driving down the road, wrestling them back in the 80s, and then, you know, finally when we, you know, it was time to, you know, hit the big team, WWF, you know, we already knew we knew each other so good, and we were friends, and that's how it worked. So
Shawn, often regarded as one of the greatest of all time. I think maybe Marty is very underrated. He was so good, so smooth. Your memories of, is Marty Jannetty the professional wrestler?
Marty's great. Yeah, he was really good. You know what I mean? I think Shawn learned a little bit off him in the beginning, because Marty was in before Shawn. You know, Shawn broke in after Marty, and then they got together. I think they got together in the AWA, but Marty was in Kansas City and different places. But Marty knew how to work, man. Marty could work and do all kind of stuff too. You know, all kind of, you know, stuff that you never saw before. You know, this was back in the AWA days, so not too many people. We came on ESPN, but everybody was watching either NWA down south before turning to WCW or WWF.
Right.
And then if you're in Texas, you were watching Devon Eric's, you know what I mean? And then Bill Watts had the Louisiana territory. So there were still different territories, but the two top ones at the time, or three top ones, were AWA, Vince, of course, WWF, and NWA.
Right.
And people like working with AWA because you would have off in the summer. You'd work in the winter, so you would actually have a couple months off, which was good, because when you were on the road, you're on the road, you know, and you're not home a lot. You're working, making money for the family, you know.
January 21st, 1991, house show, Nasty Boys Bushwhackers. This one just happened to be in the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. Your memories of the mecca of professional wrestling?
No, unbelievable. Still the best place to wrestle, because you know, Madison Square Garden. You can't take that away. So whenever you wrestled at the Garden, it was special. Whoever you wrestled, you know, I mean, it was special. It was Madison Square Garden. And there, you know, just like the Boston Garden. I mean, there was a couple all on the Northeast. There was the Spectrum in Philly. Yeah. Then you had Madison Square Garden. You had the Boston Garden, and even the Nassau Coliseum was kind of, you know, great. Always drew, always sold out, and you know, I mean, Boston Garden's like a legendary.
Oh, sure.
The old Garden.
The old one, not the new one.
Yeah.
New one's like a big warehouse.
Some big rats crawling around in the back of the old Garden.
And they worked at the hotels, too.
Got me with that one. I'm not saying nothing.
Annie still,
I played the fifth.
Annie claims she's the only one that can put a smile on Greg Valentine's face.
I plead the fifth. No comment.
Stan Lane.
That's my brother-in-law.
Stan Lane was known as the man with the educated feet. Annie was known as the woman with the educated tongue. She could do Olympic-style push-ups with it, but that's all right. Wonderful human being that got the boys a good deal at the hotel.
Yeah.
And you need that on the road,
yeah,
especially with how those expenses went up.
And it was so close to the airport, and the Hilton's, you know, can't beat the Hilton.
No.
You know, it was a nice hotel, nice bar, you know.
It did have a nice bar downstairs.
Until me and Sag got into WWF, the boys just stayed at the Marriott by the airport. And me and Sag were like, wait a minute, you know, you're missing out. You know, you got to go down Sunset Boulevard on Saturday night. And, you know, we got to know a lot of guys down there. So we started taking the boys down there, you know. Sunset Social Club was right across from the Chateau Marmont, and you know, the Roxy and the Rainbow. You know, the Rainbow we used to eat there, and you know, always had all kind of stars and that coming in and out. And at the time, you know, WrestleMania 7 was in LA, so it was a big thing. You know what I mean? So, but a lot of times when we were on the road, that's where we stayed. We stayed at a nice hotel right close to the airport. So when, you're late for a plane or something, you don't have to go 10 miles or 12, it's right there. So that's what was good about the Hilton. It was right there.
Yeah, it was right there.
It's almost on Logan
You're
Airport's
practically
property.
in the airport. It was so close. Yeah. Another Baltimore. That was another pretty hot town for both
I forgot about that.
WWF
Baltimore
and
Arena.
WWF and WCW.
Yeah.
They both like Baltimore.
Yeah.
That was a hot city.
And always sold out there with both, with WCW and WWF. Always good fans, and the Northeast was really good. I mean, wrestling was. And then Kemp turned down Chicago, the Rosemont. That was huge all the time. Always drawing big money. We started with Vern, so we used to go St. Paul Civic Center. That was way back in the day, and that was a big arena. We wrestled most of the greatest arenas in the world at the time, but I agree with you. Madison Square Garden is still number one. Yeah, can't beat that. Joe Frazier, Ali. 1970s. That was right there, main event. I mean, so many. Frank Sinatra, whatever. The Garden. Just like it says, if I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. In New York, right? So.
Also at the Rumble, to go back to that big event, Sergeant Slaughter defeated Ultimate Warrior to become the new WWF World Champion. Slaughter was getting a lot of heat as the Iraqi sympathizer that was friends with Saddam Hussein. He promised to take the title to Saddam. Do you think that maybe that gimmick crossed the line a little bit?
No, but actually, Sheik Adnan al-Qaisi was from Iraq.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he had family over there when all that broke out. Some of his family died,
Mm-hmm.
and he's still living. I forget where he's living now.
I think he's in Hawaii.
Yeah, and that made it a fit. Really made Sarge official. You know what I mean? So
put it over the top.
But I don't think. I think that's when G.I. Joe didn't like it there. I guess he was still
I think his contract was up with G.I. Joe, which is what allowed him to do it.
But they still didn't like it because he was,
that character
was the
will
big
forever
hero.
be tied in, right?
Yeah. So, but he was before even that, he was a good heel in some points, different territories. He wasn't just a baby face. Some guys were just baby faces. That's why I think it. Got such a big wow factor with the NWO when Hulk turned, because Hulk had never been Hulk. Wait a minute.
Well,
in the early 80s,
yeah.
Freddie Blassie was his manager.
Yep.
He was a heel.
You remember that.
But after everything popped, he had talk about a run. That was a good run he had there, so, with WWF. So, and he was drawing them. I mean, can't beat that. I mean, he's just as being a friend of his, he's just a good guy, good-hearted guy, and a lot of things you don't know because he gives a lot back. He does a lot for charity, but he don't let people know. He don't have to. He's not one of them. He does it because he likes to do it.
Because he wants to. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the interactions we've had with him, he did a couple appearances with Pat Catino over at the gym, and some things we did when Hogan was with TNA Impact. One of the classiest guys I've ever seen with the fans, I'll say that much.
Yeah, definitely.
Gives every fan a great experience.
And then John Cena, I mean, look at he made the mark with the Make-A-Wish. I mean, he does so much stuff with Make-A-Wish. I mean, you got to just take your hat off because you got to give back. I mean, you can't just you're in this business, you become famous, and you got to give back. I mean, I do Children's Hospital, I do Make-A-Wish, I do different stuff. Just like he asked us to come up for the Paul Bearer event. I mean, how could you say no? I mean, Paul was such a good guy, and it's for such a great cause, and you're actually an asshole if you don't want to do something like that.
Yeah.
Because you got to give back. You know what I mean? I mean, there's some people that, maybe don't like doing it, but me and Sag were never like that. We always like to, do what we can.
Hey, you know what? The business was good to you in a lot of ways. You got to give back to the business.
Exactly.
That's the way I always try and look at it. That someone like Paul Bearer went above and beyond to try and help me as a young person. That he didn't have any need to. He didn't have any necessity in life to say, you know what, I have to try and enrich what Dan Marati can do in wrestling. He took the time because he felt like he wanted to help the cause, to make wrestling a better place by having more people that are well-versed in it.
Yeah.
I don't think you can ever stop giving back.
Back in the day, nobody knows, but when WCW was beating Vince and Sag got hurt, and I went on the independent circuit, I was wrestling Cactus, and then that Sunday I had to wrestle Stone Cold, in pay-per-view. That's when Vince was letting the guys go out, but the independent circuit was unbelievable because you didn't have every Tom, Dick, and Harry thinking they were a promoter. There was only a couple guys, and they take nice buildings, and you were drawing like 4,000 or 5,000 people.
It wasn't Little League Baseball where you paid $100 and everybody got to play a couple
exactly.
innings.
And they always had good guys. Bushwhackers were always on with us. Jimmy Snuka, Greg the Hammer. I mean, the list goes on. You know what I mean? And people would come out, because they weren't with, WWE no more or WCW, and it was an independent. But like Canton, Ohio has a nice little arena there. I guess it holds, I think he passed away now. His name was Joe Pizza, but he was friends with the Bushwhackers, and they got me booked there. And brother-in-law Greg, the Hammer, he was doing it for a while, with the independents. And back in the day, the independents were hot, but now, they get kind of watered down a little bit because everybody,
Anyone
some
can
are
do it.
good, some are good, but some aren't good. So, that hurts a little bit.
There's
you know what I
nothing
mean?
special about it.
Right. Exactly.
When everybody and anyone can do it, what makes it special?
Yeah.
Why go out of your way to see it?
Yep.
And
you're
that can
right.
be said for a movie, music, anything
exactly.
like that.
You're right.
That even, not to pat myself on the back like Barry Horowitz, but even interviews like this. Anyone can set up a camcorder or anyone can say, we're going to do a Zoom interview on a computer or something like that.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that. Here we have a nice studio. We have a nice ambiance. We have a great history. I mean, going back 19 years now.
This is actually one of the best ones,
Oh, I appreciate that.
I was telling you that when we were just talking.
Yeah.
I said, this is a fantastic setup, beautiful studio. And we're sitting down talking, distancing, folling all the rules.
I think we are more than 6 feet apart.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, more than 6 feet. All right, good.
We
We got a social distance here.
even if there wasn't the craziness going on like it was, I think you might want to still be 6 feet apart because, the nasty boys, sometimes we don't smell as good as.
You know what? I didn't want to say anything. Especially with what's going on in the bathrooms here, but that's a different story.
Yeah, I know.
For a different time.
Then I go in there and it looks like I did it.
The bathroom was nasty before you even got here, brother.
I know. Did you do that just for us or what?
I'm still waiting for the plumber. I got a text about a plumber at about 11 o'clock, and here we are now. I don't know what the heck time it is, but I guess he had a long ride. I don't know. Or maybe there were a lot of water issues in the area. I don't know. It's always an adventure here in this studio. The same night as WWF taped a Friday night main event special, in 1988, the first Friday night main event they did on NBC with Hogan and Andre did 33 million people. The 1991 version was cut to about a quarter of that. That was the last primetime special on a weeknight that WWF had on NBC. But the same night that was taped, it was during a Superstars of Wrestling challenge. The Nasty Boys won a 7-team tag team battle royal to earn that championship match at WrestleMania 7. Now, going into that night, did you have any idea this battle royal was coming up? Did you?
No, and I don't remember it.
You don't remember winning that tag team battle royal?
No.
I tell you this, back in,
I just saw just recently, because I Facebook, but I'm not on all the time. And
you never respond to me, Brian.
And I
never.
I put likes here and there, but I'm not, I mean, like when I see Cactus, he's on it all the time and stuff. You know what I mean? My wife, when I'm at home, I have other things to do, but I like to, put out, like if I'm on something like this, like I retweeted your thing a couple times.
And we appreciate that.
You know, and
when these shows start to air, you can let the fans know that we're doing it.
And I don't really tell, my personal business either on there, like a lot of people do. But when my knee happened, a friend of mine, who's actually a producer, Fred Young, he said, "Hey man, let me do this for you." And I said, "If you want it, Fred," but I didn't want it to GoFundMe because he knows, at the time I was going to be out of commission for a while, and that's how we make our money. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it is what it is. And then this year was a total bust where there's nothing. Thank God there's something like this, you know what I mean?
Well, and I've said that again and again. I mean, I'm not sure exactly when this episode is going to air, but you're talking about 8 or 9 months that the boys haven't had live wrestling events to go to. It's been 8 or 9 months, largely, that they haven't been any kind of fan fest. There's been very few autograph signings, a few virtual ones here and there. But like I said, I think this studio can do a lot of goodwill towards the brotherhood if the fans, of course, reach out and support us. If you're watching us during the premiere, don't forget that super chat button is open. It helps keep wrestling legends like Brian Knobbs, Jerry Saggs, Marty Jannetty, Tony Atlas, and so many more working. We have our great Patreon service where you get early ad-free access to all of our talk shows, plus our Studio Shoot Interview DVD library for the cost of a cup of coffee down at Starbucks. You can find that at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. If everybody did just a little bit, it would make the work so much easier, you know what I mean? And I truly believe there are millions of fans that have no idea these shows exist, and as more and more fans find us, I think it's really going to continue to grow and grow. The audience we had gross per month, last month it was almost tenfold. So, I mean, it's really increased. People are really finding what we're doing. I think the weekly Tuesday night talk show with Tony has become very popular. Thursday night with Marty Jannetty has become popular. I think people like the insight of even John Cena Sr. after SmackDown Friday night at 10 o'clock. Again, it's all about the fans, what they enjoy, what they want to tune in to see.
So, Marty, Marty comes up every week?
No, when Marty comes up, we tape many episodes. Marty's been here, I think we've taped 7 times since July.
Yeah.
But we've had weekly episodes ever since, every Thursday night. That's the only feable way to make it happen. You know what I mean? If we can't tape several episodes when the guys are in town. Right.
I mean, don't know when this is on the air, but I'm so glad this was after Thanksgiving and all that stuff because there's nobody who was at the airports. There weren't that many people on the plane, which is good. And I got to really, the way I am, and not that my health is bad, but just with different things, if I catch the virus, don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
No. I mean, we want to keep everybody healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how we end the show every week.
Yeah.
Be well, stay healthy.
Yep.
Because you only get one run. It's not like wrestling when you can get the comeback, right?
Oh, exactly.
Unless you like Undertaker.
No, yeah.
But the goal in 2021, Brian, I want to make magic. I know there's a lot of stars out there that we haven't even thought of coming to this studio.
Right.
And that are going to be here, and we're going to create some great content for the fans to enjoy. So you just have to keep giving us that feedback. You have to keep giving us that support. It's all about you guys. Without you guys, there's nothing. Brian and I would be sitting in a studio with no lights on.
Yeah, and there wouldn't be no nasty boys. It wouldn't. I mean,
you'd just be nasty. You wouldn't be a nasty boy.
Yeah, even the Hulkster, says that. Without the fans, the fans are everything. Yeah. And Undertaker even said something, about the guys, and I do too with. Wrestling without fans, that's hard to do, man, because that's what you're there for. You're an entertainer is what you're doing. You're entertaining and showing the people a good time, and take some of the stress off of their life for whether it's a 2-hour show or 3-hour show or I used to like the house shows the best because this way you could do what you wanted to do. It's just over in about usually 2.5 hours or so, but you could try new things and. Didn't have to worry so much about time and this and that, and so you could just go out and have fun,
We mentioned around that same time frame, a lot of new returning faces, debuting faces were coming into the company to try and get the houses back up, which they did a very good job in doing in 1991. Another return was, you talk about a fresh coat of paint on someone, the former Jacques Rougeau
returned to the WWF as the Mountie. Your memory of Jacques as the Mountie, a man that was part of your stable with Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, and he was good. He got a lot of heat, and he could work. He cried a lot about taking the bumps. He had Big Boss Man for a while, so Boss Man was giving him them slams every night. Another good man that's not with us no more.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
gosh, I think he was 04, so it's been 16 years for Boss Man.
Yeah, he was after Kurt.
Yeah. And they were very close friends, too.
Yes. I think it went Kurt and Hawk, I think, and then Boss Man, right? Kind of around each other there.
I'll never forget when Mr. Perfect passed, because he came up to one of our live events for the very first time, February 15th of 03.
He was
and
such a
Kurt
good
had
guy.
died a few days before, and he was really distraught about it.
Yeah. Who died?
Kurt Hennig died a few days before his first appearance with us.
Before you had...
Yeah, before one of our live events. And I remember Percy was very upset when he came in for
Boss
the
Man.
appearance. No, Mr. Perfect.
What was he upset about?
Percy was upset that Mr. Perfect died.
We're talking about Mr. Perfect. Who are you talking about? Boss Man?
No, Paul Bearer.
Oh, Paul. I thought you were because I was putting Boss Man in there. Yeah, Paul was friends with everybody, man.
Yeah.
And everybody liked him. And Kurt was always the jokester. He was always joking, so he was funny, and just like Paul was too. You know what I mean? So, I mean.
And you know what? I am going to do the same thing with you that I did with Jerry, because I almost forgot again. Think back to when WrestleMania was in New Orleans in 2018 at the WrestleMania week festivities. They have the WrestleCon.
Right.
We happened to be there with Larry and Irene Hennig, and I remember that you and Jerry came over to pay your respects to the man.
Yeah.
And I know that he was slipping. You know, it was less than a year before he'd pass away.
We know them from...
And that meant an awful lot to him, and especially to Irene, too.
Yeah.
You know, that her husband was shown so much respect by not just you, but a lot of the Minnesota guys.
But we knew him. We were at their house and everything back in the day.
And she is just one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet, Irene Hennig. I was really glad I got to know her.
Yeah, and Kurt
along
and
with
Lalise
Larry.
would come down every Christmas, and they stay down by the beach, and we go out almost every day and have some good times, So, yeah, he's a real close friend, and his son Joe's close with me in SAG too,
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's a good kid. He was brought up the right way, So, yeah, too young.
He broke in kind of late, but he had a nice long run in WWE
But
before
a
he
lot
was
of guys
released.
really too young.
Yeah. Well, we could do episode upon episode about that. Tributes of the different friends we've lost.
Yep.
But again, we talk about new faces in the company.
Yep.
A man that you probably knew from the AWA. At first, he was known as the Viking. But then there was, I don't know if it was some kind of copyright issue with another wrestler, but then he became the Berserker, Big John Nord.
Yeah. Oh, he's great. Yeah, he's another Robbinsdale boy. Another Minnesota guy right around that area. They all grew up together. He's doing good. Just talked to Wayne Bloom about him not too long ago, and he's doing real good these days, So he went through a lot of stuff too, with injuries. You can't get around it.
What the hell was that?
That's SAG.
Oh, watch your feet, Jerry, brother. Just so we don't kick anything and unplug it. Welcome back to our humble abode. I couldn't see anything. That caught me off guard. And I lost my train of thought. Oh, Berserker. He had kind of a unique gimmick where instead of trying to win the match via pinfall, he'd take the guy and hurl him over the top rope, and he'd go for a count-out win. I can't think of anyone else in wrestling that ever really did that.
He was mentored by Bruiser Brody.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of Bruiser Brody and
he had a lot of fur
John.
on those boots, too, now that you mention it.
That's Jerry.
And
there's SAG. So
you talk about, geez, you hate to use the word face, but 6 months or so after Brutus Beefcake was in that horrible parasailing accident down in Florida, he returned to the company in kind of a unique role. He was under a mask and referred to as the Mariner, almost a military type guy that would run off heels after their squash match wins. Was it good for Brutus to be around the boys again. The gimmick itself didn't last all that long, but at
You're
least
not
he
talking
was.
when him and Hulk got back together with the.
No, that was 93.
Yeah.
This is
That's when
91.
we got
He
bumped out of
wore
our
a little.
spot when we were supposed to win the
I
belts.
remember you.
I don't think I forgot about that.
That one stung a little. We're
Well,
still in
my whole
91.
family came out and everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we all knew it, and then in that month, it just happened like that. You know, we were already up to, I think it was April 1st, and March, we found out March 1st that, you know, we were in Europe, and Ted and IRS didn't come over right away. They stayed for Monday Night Raw to shoot the angle.
Oh.
And then we found out over there, and that's when, you know, we kind of.
And you know,
Supposedly got an attitude problem, but we were, you know, kind of like, you know, pretty pissed off because
who
we,
wouldn't be pissed off
you
at
know,
that point?
7 months we were wrestling them guys, had a great
Yeah.
angle going, and just because, you know, it was what it was. So, you know,
We'll get
Yeah,
there, though.
first-
We'll get there.
you know, it's all good. You know, it is. You know, at first it wasn't, you know, but then we were there for only like another year, and then after that
Oh,
we.
no. After.
Oh,
You're talking a
94
couple of months.
No, 90, no, I think 94 we left.
No, you were in WCW by the summer of '93.
Oh, were we?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See, you know better than me.
Well, you had
You
to
know?
live it. I can only
Yeah.
I watched it on television. You had
Yeah.
to like, live it and
Yeah.
experience it, you know?
Yeah.
But now just
But that's what's good to always have another. That's why AEW is good, because it's it's hard to revamp you. It's like a big circle. So it was always good that you could go somewhere else and then go for 2-3 years down there and
Yeah.
then come back and then
Yeah.
you're hot again back with the WWE. You know, so it was always
Fresh
good to
coat
go.
of paint.
And then when that was, you know, after 2000, there was just one company. Kind of, you know, it hurt the business a lot because there was nowhere for nobody to go.
Right.
You know, so you know it's good to see AEW doing as good as they are.
and knock on wood, they continue to
Yeah,
succeed
yeah.
and grow and grow and grow.
And some great matches and great talent and there's another guy.
Creating
I
jobs.
take my hat off to, Jericho.
Yeah.
He's still out there doing it. He's 50. You know.
Hell, in great condition for a man at his age, yeah.
Yeah, and he still does the rock star thing and everything, you
Yeah.
know. So, yeah, but Undertaker still tops everybody, you know. 30-year run.
I don't know who's going to top that, if anybody.
No one will.
Jericho's had a great run, but not an Undertaker
Yeah, but
run.
not WWE the whole
Right,
time.
in the
I
event,
mean,
too.
and you know, and great matches and main events all the time, you know. So.
Yeah, Jericho could kind of be ebb and flow with where he was positioned on the
Yeah.
card. Great career nonetheless, but just
Yeah.
not an Undertaker
He does.
career.
I like his ideas and stuff, though. I watch both of them. I still watch. You know, I got I tape them so I can go buy
on
something.
the
something I
DVR,
know.
yeah.
So, you know, but I think all the talent today is incredible. Stuff they do. You know, I mean, high flying off here and there, any second could go wrong, and you there goes your leg, neck, back, whatever, and then you're injured for, you know, I mean.
Brian, I look at it like this. There's a lot of people right now that don't like how wrestling is presented on TV. They miss the good old days and so on. But I don't think anyone with an open mind can deny that in 2020, 2021, you have probably the best production values you've ever seen, state-of-the-art production values, along with probably the most athletic roster in the history of the industry. Now, whether you like how it's presented, how you like that jigsaw puzzle is put together, that is debatable, certainly. But as far as these men as athletes, my God.
But in our era, all the guys were 250 and above. Everybody was big.
In your
era,
you
even
look
Dynamite
like men.
Kid.
You look like men.
Well, even Dynamite Kid, he was short. But
small they are. I mean, compared to, look at the size of you, look at the size of Jerry.
Yeah.
And just some of the veterans of that day and age. Even Savio, when he was here, he was
Savio's
still very thick.
Yeah, still big.
And you have, in some cases, talents on Major League Television shows that look like they still could be in high school if you found out. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So I think that's hurt the business. That's one of the negatives right now. One man's opinion.
But what are you going to do, you know? Because right now there's, you know, the all kind of rules. Like I say that to everybody. Football's changed. Basketball's changed. Hockey's changed. I mean, look at it. You can't even hit the quarterback the way you used to. So wrestling's going to change too. I mean, you change with the times, and that's the way it is. So, you know, if you like wrestling, you still watch, and those who don't, you know, definitely tell us when we're signing for them, you know, like, your era was the, you know, that, and it's always between that 80s, 90s era there. They're just, the characters they had in that, it just, you know, it just, a lot of good thinking, you know what I mean? So, I mean, just think about it. I mean, there's, you know, from, you know, you had Tito, you had the model, Rick Martel, I mean, guys that just you know, Mountie, you said he switched, and Papa. How about
Shango,
he went from Papa to this, he went to a couple of years.
He was a UFC fighter for a while, then he was part of the Nation of Domination, then he was a pimp.
Then he had, that's the one that fits him the best.
Yep, and he lived the gimmick that time. March 11th, the TV taping that took place before WrestleMania to air after WrestleMania. We mentioned Sergeant Slaughter with General Adnan, but we had a unique return. Former WWF World Champion, the Iron Sheik, returned not as Sheiky Baby, but as Colonel Mustafa.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the return of your old buddy, the Sheik, to the WWF with a whole new look and even a whole new name?
Well, it was good because, you know, he was one of the pioneers to start everything back in the 80s when the big, you know, put it this way, wrestling was always big. I mean, if you look all the way back with Bruno and Zabisco, and we're selling out Shea Stadium. I mean, you know, back in '72, Andre, wherever Andre went, you know, I mean, that if you saw that HBO special, he was drawn all over the world. And at that time, they didn't even have, you know, like today, they at least have, you know, places for big guys like that. Not that big, but, you know, to sit and all that stuff.
Right.
He had to go through hell and back, and he did, you know, and back in the day, he could drop kick and everything.
Well, yeah.
You know, so, I mean, it's definitely, you know, like I said, everything changes, but the product's still great. And then, like you said, like how they did do the Raw and the SmackDown now, they really light it up with the screens. Like at first they didn't. And AEW is good, but they didn't get that far yet. They still, you know, have the guy, you know, some little couple fans there, but, you know, at least there, it's like you say, a lot of flashlights and it looks sharp, you know. So they're always thinking. That's you know, Kevin Dunn. He's a genius, you know.
Well, and he's been, think about how long that man has been with the company in that position.
From the start, you know, not the start, but I think from way back. You know, in the WrestleMania, first WrestleMania, I think he was there doing something. I know he moved up. You know,
he was. I mean,
I don't know how long he actually was there, but I know he was there for a while.
I remember his name in the credits, even in the early '80s, in the late '80s on Primetime Wrestling, the USA show, where they'd have, you know, cameraman, director, and I loved Primetime.
Yeah,
when Bobby and Gorilla hosted it.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
And then, Vince and Bobby, and then
Vince would come out wearing those Zubaz type outfits later on.
And then we were on a bunch of them shows, you know.
How was Sheiky Baby at that point with the medicine? Was he all right, or it wasn't a very long run for him that time, but.
Sheik's always been Sheik, you know what I mean?
It's always been a medicine.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you know, so, but you know, one of the greatest guys, you know,
without a doubt.
And now, you know, his injuries too. I mean, he's getting up there, and like I told you, he was an Olympic champion. So from being there,
what a life! If only they could have told the true story in that documentary that they put out a couple of years back, but.
I never saw that. Oh,
you were interviewed for it.
Oh, yeah, with the two guys from Toronto.
Two pieces of garbage.
I don't think they did Sheiky right there.
No.
I know who you're talking about.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't. But it was.
They needed a good open hand Andre slap.
Yeah. It was unique to see Sheik come back as a different person, though. I was not expecting that. Similar in a match tape for a return after WrestleMania. Ricky Steamboat came back, only they got rid of the name Ricky Steamboat. He was just the Dragon, certainly one of the great in-ring match-by-match performers of the generation. That must have been certainly a great addition to the roster.
Unbelievable. I mean, Ricky was just what a fantastic worker. I mean, him and Macho's match in WrestleMania 3 was still, one of the top matches you can ever watch. I mean,
Even now.
Even now. Yeah, back and forth, back and forth. And they weren't small guys either.
No. In those times, they were smaller guys, but you put them on TV right now, and they'd be at least average, if nothing else.
Macho's big, dude.
Your thickness, but I'm talking about height-wise and such.
Height-wise, no, but, he was pumped.
He was a big man, thick man, a believable man.
Yep.
When you saw, that's not someone you'd want to cross.
And Ricky could do almost anything, too. I mean, some of his matches with Flair, unbelievable. You know what I mean?
They did a really good job retooling that roster in 1991 to make the product all that much more enjoyable and watchable. Because, like I said,
it was all the different gimmicks and stuff.
Yeah.
And different managers, and everybody worked as a team. So even the referees in there, you know what I mean? We had Joey Morella, Gorilla's son, and
another one we lost.
Yeah. And then what's his name? He just got let go. I couldn't believe it.
Tony Chimmel?
Mike
Chioda?
No, Chioda. Chioda was there forever too.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends in WWE. WWE has been very good to us over the years, but sometimes you just have to share an opinion. We're all entitled to them, I guess.
Yeah, and like I said, everything changes, so nothing stays the same. Just and it's not just pro wrestling; it's everything.
It's every form of sport and entertainment.
Yes, exactly.
And 20, 30 years from now, it'll look different than it does now.
Exactly.
There is going to be a generation of fans that look at what many don't like in 2020 is the good old days someday.
Yes.
When they're in their 30s and 40s and 50s.
But you go back, you can go all the way back to like you're talking about Pat Patterson in the 50s, and you had Gorgeous George.
Yeah.
And they were drawing big houses back then. People don't even know it, but they were, it wasn't like just when Hulk's in WrestleMania and that. I mean, it exploded worldwide, kind of, but it was always big in them different territories. I mean, Florida was a big breeding ground for guys to come in and out.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
And Eddie Graham was running it. Eddie Graham was running it. So, you just look back and you see Bob Geigel in Kansas City had Harley, and you can't not say Harley Race. He was a man among men.
Another man that sat in your very seat. It was great to have Harley here. His stories were fantastic when we had him. I wish we could have had him more before he passed away. That's why I stress.
He was one tough SOB, too.
Absolutely. That's why these shows are so important, to document these memories and these legends. WWE never made a 3-disc Harley Race DVD documentary. So without shows like this, a lot of those stories, they go with them,
Yeah.
Let me ask you this one. The big night, WrestleMania 7, as we documented, you defeated the Hart Foundation to become WWF Tag Team Champions. You're in the history books, the record books. What was it like to hear Howard Finkel make that announcement and the new World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions, the Nasty Boys?
I don't know, we were laying on the floor, beat up, going, yeah. It actually it sounded like, because I told my dad, talked about it.
Now, did your dad go to the show?
No, but my brother and all of our friends went, and my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, she went, and had one of the greatest times ever. And then at the end of the night, we ended up going over to Santa Monica with Kurt and Sean and Larry the Axe, who kept on telling Kurt I was full of shit, that Willie Nelson wasn't staying there, and we ended up partying with Willie till like 6 in the morning, and then from there 6 or 7, and then at like 9:30 we had to be at Gold's Gym to do stuff with Vince for that prime time after we just won the belts, and we were still half lit up, especially being with Willie. But what a heck of a time, what a heck of a party.
Marty told the story that it was a lot of medicine that night, and Willie wound up becoming kind of one of the tag team champions. Did Willie
I gave-
actually get the belt?
He sang Angel Flying Too Close to the Ground for me, and I gave him the belt.
Now, why did you give him the belt?
Because, you know,
It was that
he's one
good.
of my heroes, and he's awesome, and he's a hero, and he's a true icon, and he does anything for people. And at that time, I already had known him, I think, 4 years.
So he wasn't a
from
stranger
Dusty.
to you.
No. I know him from Dusty, 88. We met him, and then in 91.
Oh, wow.
He
Okay.
came and sang, yeah. And it was so funny because when he was doing his rehearsal, everybody was around Lanza and everybody's around the ring looking at Willie. And when we walked up, he stopped and he said, "What are you doing, boys?" This and that. And he, we got in the ring to hug him, and everybody was like, "How do the Nasty Boys know Willie Nelson?" So, but yeah, and I still know him real good to this day. He's been a friend of mine. I've been to his picnics, and I
Oh, wow.
did the Best Damn Sports Show, and went out there and, went out to one of the picnics and interviewed Merle Haggard, and Barry Switzer was there, and Toby Keith.
wow.
And, they had Grateful Dead, but Garcia wasn't with them anymore. And then I interviewed Willie,
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
Willie Nelson, wow.
yeah.
Did Willie keep the belt?
No, I had to ask him back after we were ready later. I said, "Willie, I'm sorry, but he wore it." I had pictures with him wearing it. He wore it like it was a country belt buckle. He loved
Really?
it. Oh, yeah.
Now, what was Vince McMahon's reaction the morning after WrestleMania after giving you the belt to only find out that Willie Nelson had one of them?
No.
He didn't know?
No, he never. He knew later, but I got it back before I left that night.
So he didn't keep it for a
No,
prolonged
no.
period. Oh, I see.
gave
Okay.
it to him. He wore it. He was having fun, and then I said, "I'm sorry, Willie, but I have to get that back. I got to shoot TV tomorrow." And he laughed. He said, "I thought you gave it to me." So he,
Do you think Willie wanted it?
He would have loved that. Yeah, and he likes to joke around.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a good time. Everybody that was there, and a lot of people came over with us. And we went from there, and then the bar shut down, and then all of us went on the bus. Mr. Perfect and Sean was there, and Larry the Axe, and all.
Isn't that great that Kurt used to take Larry and bring
Yeah.
him to some of those big shows? Because
Well,
Larry loved being on the road.
Well, Larry, he's the one that introduced wrestling to his son. He was a big wig in AWA.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and strong. He's the only one. Hawk said he gave him the double axe, the axe that. He goes, my eyes twirled in the back of my head after I gave him. So, he was the real deal. Good old Larry the Axe.
I'm glad that we brought him to WrestleMania in New Orleans a couple of years ago. And like I said, I'm glad that you and Jerry and 123 Kid and Demolition all came over to just give him a couple moments of your time and catch up with him.
I had
And
to.
it meant a lot to him. And especially it meant a lot to Irene.
Yeah,
because she's just such a nice lady.
Well, we had to because we'd known them. They're like family,
And that was probably the last time you ever saw him.
Yeah.
Because he passed that December.
Yeah. Yep.
Tough.
Yeah.
But you know what? At least he was a gentleman that was in his 80s as opposed to some of our friends that we lose in the 30s
exactly.
and 40s. He lived a full life.
Yes, he did.
He lived a full life.
Yep.
And he meant an awful lot to the business.
And he saw his grandson Joe.
Yeah, he even got to manage him a couple of times, which I thought was great.
Yeah, so
I think it was a pre-show match on a WWE pay-per-view. He got to go out and manage his grandson, which I'm sure meant the world to him. And I'm sure Mr. Perfect looked down from up there and he had a big smile on his face too.
Exactly.
And, I bet a lot of our friends right now is sitting around saying, what are crazy knobs and sags talking about in that TV studio with that crippled guy?
Yeah.
Maybe we're entertaining them too. Who
Yes,
knows?
exactly.
They're
having some hellacious matches up there.
I tell you this, SummerSlam weekend when Marty was here, we were going to do a watch-along where we watch the actual pay-per-view when we comment on it while the fans watch us and they go back and forth. Yeah. And just as we were getting ready to do it, after we were talking about Percy, the power to the building went out. And I said, you know what? He's fucking with me. And if someday when I make it up there I find out that to be true, I won't be surprised.
Well, we come here and the bathrooms ain't working, and what the heck?
Well,
Jesus. Just because we're the nasty boys, I mean, come on.
You'd think you'd be the ones that caused it, right?
Yeah.
Not a
Well, that's why I
ride
had to tell you. I said, hey, wait a minute. That wasn't me. Oh, God.
Well, you know, Brian, we've had a lot of fun. I want to have you back here in 2021. You guys, you may be nasty in spirit, but the kindness you've extended for the Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive, beyond coming in for the great interviews, we did the virtual autograph signing, and again, for the fans that couldn't join us live, they might have been busy on a Saturday,
Yes.
they might have been out Christmas shopping, or
Yes.
God only knows. Look at the weather out here. Their power might have gone out.
Yeah.
They can still get the VIP package with the photos and the posters, anything that was left over from the virtual signing. You guys were nice enough to sign before you left. Again, that shows the heart of the individuals. And again, as life perks back up, anytime you have anything nasty you want to promote, you've got our show. We got a heck of a lot of fans that have been tuning in.
Love to come back. Me and Sag would love to come up. We always loved Boston. Was one of our favorite towns. Like
and I may
said.
have to come down to Tampa to see a Rays game with you. We'll have to wait and see about that.
I'll hook
I'm
you
a
up down there.
diehard baseball fan.
Oh, I'll hook you up down there.
Briscoe likes going too. Did you know that? Jerry likes going to the Rays games now?
I didn't see him too much, but I got John. He started going to him. Cena was going to him.
Did he? He started going to the Rays games? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And then he was there for one of the World Series, and then he had a booth up there. So
wow.
I was down in the front row, and after the game was over, we went up, and he had it was loaded, a big cooler full of Jack, this, that, the other. Oh, my word.
Did you go up?
Yeah, me and Sag went up and partied. We partied, then took the thing down. Yeah, we had a hell of a time, dude.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Nice memory. Well, the Cenas are good people. John Cena Sr. has been part of our organization. It's unbelievable. 15-plus years now that we've known Johnny Sr. with his famous line of Fabo Pop Soda. But we're running out of time on this episode, fans. We need your feedback. Do you want to get us nasty more? Do you want more knobs? Do you want more sags? Let us know. We've had a lot of great new guests come in through the end of 2020 thanks to the Paul Bearer Toy Drive Cyber Fan Fest. Anytime you guys want to see these greats, if you'll help make it happen, we're willing to do the legwork, folks. For my friend Brian Nobbs, I'm Dan Marati. Until we speak again, folks, you and yours be well, stay healthy. Good night.
And stay nasty.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marati.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Arguably the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Get this limited edition collector's autograph print personally signed by two-time WWE Hall of Famer Nature Boy Ric Flair, inscribed 16 times for each of his recognized World Championship reigns. One of only 50 made direct from our friends at WWE. Also signed by original artist Rob Schamberger. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome Ric Flair collectible for your wrestling collection now. Tickets are on sale now at BostonWrestling.com for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s WrestleFest, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Mass. All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. We hope you had some fun tonight with this Brian Nobbs watch-along as he recovers in the hospital down in Florida, or at least he's in a nice warm part of the country. You can never send enough positive thoughts in someone's direction, no matter what your spiritual or religious thoughts may be, and we send Brian some great wishes from here in Boston, and hopefully wherever you are around the country, around the world. We'd love to have Brian back in studio or at a Wrestle House endeavor with us down in Tampa in the future once he is recovered. Again, folks, we implore you to please head on over to BostonWrestling.com. All-inclusive VIP packages and tickets are on sale now for our Back to the 80s WrestleFest Saturday night, November the 13th. It's been an event, a year and a half in the making due to this nasty virus. You're going to get to see, you're going to get to meet Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Jake the Snake Roberts, Axe and Smash Demolition, Marty Jannetty, the Doctor of Style Slick, more 80s legends to be added, and John Cena laid down the gauntlet. If we sell out of those VIPs within a reasonable amount of time, when it comes to the 8th and final guest we're going to announce, we're really going to go big We're going to go above and beyond what we were planning because we love you guys. When you guys show us support and some love, we're going to give you the same thing right back. Again, folks, we want to remind you, we're going to have special live episodes with Marty, Jannetty, Wednesday and Thursday night, live. You never know what may happen there. Tomorrow night at 10 p.m. after the live episode, we're going to have Wrestling Insider Special Edition, as always, following AEW Dynamite. On Thursday night, after Marty's live episode, we're going to have a regular episode of Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty, which are always fun. Friday night, the fabulous one himself, Mr. John Cena Sr., is back with Wrestling Insider's Fabulous Fridays in its new time slot. 11 p.m. after SmackDown, after AEW Rampage. We didn't want to go head-to-head and premiere the show against Rampage, so after all that great in-ring wrestling is done, head on over to the YouTube channel, or if you're a Patreon member, get it a little early, and see what Mr. Cena has to say in the confines of this great industry. Saturday night, as always, it's Wrestling Insider's Week in Review. All of our shoots from in the studio this week. In one-stop shopping for you to enjoy. Sit back, chat with friends in the Premier Box. Between now and mid-October, I believe, we're testing a new concept called Sunday Night Live. Each week we're going to have live pay-per-view watch-alongs, retro pay-per-view watch-alongs, special guests in studio, trivia prizes, and much more. Captain Lou Data, Charlie Wilson are working away on it as we speak. It's going to be a lot of fun to be live and interact with you guys directly each and every Sunday night. In addition to that, every Sunday night at 10, I'm joined by the first MWF heavyweight champion, Tiger Mulligan, now on our prestigious board of directors, where we get Wrestling Insider's Stern But Fair, podcast style, discussing the latest in the world of professional wrestling. Monday night after Raw, former WWF Tag Team Championship Manager Oscar and I chew the fat on the latest in WWF, If we were talking the latest in WWF, it would be 2002. We talked the latest in the world of professional wrestling, and of course we have little historical anecdotes from Oscar's interesting and unique career as a manager at ringside. And then as we noted, next Tuesday night after NXT, it's a new fall season. It's a new decade here for all of us here in Boston Wrestling MWF when we kick off a brand new series that ain't at your house. You might watch it in your house, or you could watch it at your house, I guess, but certainly not that version of the show. It's going to be Wrestling Insiders Extreme when we look at the superstars, the people, the personalities, the places, the ambiance that was Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW. We kick off the series with New Jack. Justin Credible is with us this week, taping some great episodes himself. I have some high hopes for this series again, folks, but we can't do it without you. Remember, don't forget to tip the bartender, the waiter, the waitress for the great service. You can use the Super Chat if you're watching the premiere. If you're a Venmo type of person, we're at Boston Wrestling. Or if you like the old PayPal, bw@bostonwrestling.com. Again, folks, we're going to wrap up here now. We want to send some very positive thoughts to Brian Nobbs down in Florida. We hope he has a very quick and complete recovery and gets back to action, gets back to being nasty as soon as possible. Best wishes, Brian. Good night from Boston. Thank you for joining us. Please give the video a big thumbs up, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the channel to enjoy more great content. Don't forget, you can help keep wrestling legends working. Check out our eBay store and join the Boston Wrestling family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling so we can produce more in-depth shoot interviews.